Dikti, Bu Tutin, Mas Haji, Pak Aswin. Jadi baru tahun ini kami mendapatkannya dari LPDP. Belum pernah selama ini dipegang LPDP. Nah, terus LPDP itu ternyata lebih kencang sekali ininya. Apa namanya? Pelaporan dan kawan-kawannya. Ini apa? Agak runut gitu. Nah, kalau kita pakai bahasa Indonesia. Kemarin fine tuning mahasiswa pakai bahasa Indonesia sih, Pak. Tapi paham dannya paham. Monggo nanti kalau misalnya separuh-separuh juga nggak apa-apa. Tapi karena direkam ya, kita judulnya mungkin in English, nanti separuh-separuh menerangkannya pakai bahasa Indonesia juga. No
Ya,
problem.
bisa. Ya, bisa.
Gitu.
Kalau mau bertanya mungkin nggak apa-apa ya. Bertanya pakai bahasa Indonesia juga gitu.
Oke. Prof. Didi mohon izin dimulai. Mungkin sembari menunggu Bapak dan Ibu lainnya untuk masuk. Bu Ana, boleh dimulai.
Baik Ibu, saya mulai ya. Good morning and hello to all participants. To Vice Rector for Education and Student Affairs of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Didi Sukyadi, the Head of Architecture Study Programs in various universities, the speaker of our webinar, Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan from University of Technology Malaysia, Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji, the Chairman of Asosiasi Pendidikan Arsitektur Indonesia or APTARI, and a lecturer from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Dr. Aswin Indraprasta, PhD from ITB and IAI Jawa Barat, and Dr. Beta Paramita, the Chairwoman of Ikatan Peneliti Lingkungan Binaan Indonesia or IPLBI, as well as the coordinator of World-Class Professor Program in UPI's Architecture Study Program, and to all participants. Welcome to the webinar with the title of Architecture Education, Key Findings Between Curriculum, Research, and Professional Practices. This webinar is a part of World-Class Professor Program 2021, organized by UPI Architecture Study Program. I hope that you're all ready to give your best attention and to engage in this webinar. And although we are doing this during the weekend, I still can feel your positive energy through the screen. All gratitude is given to the Almighty God, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for giving us the opportunity to gather here virtually. Therefore, let's start our event with prayers. And for the Muslim participants, let's start by saying Basmalah. And for non-Muslim participants, to also pray according to their religion. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now, let me introduce myself first. My name is Ana Ramdhani Sari. You can call me Anna, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's webinar. So I see there are 30 participants with us. So while we're waiting for the other participants to join, I would like to give some brief information about World-Class Professor Program and Architecture Study Program. Some of you may have heard about this program before, and some of you may even have followed this program since the beginning of time. So the World-Class Professor Program is a program initiated by the Ministry of Education and Culture, Republic of Indonesia, to invite world-renowned professors from across the globe as visiting professors in various Indonesia universities for a specific period of time. It is funded by LPDP or Indonesia Endowment Fund for Education. In Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, World-Class Professor Program proposed by Architecture Study Program is one of the 6 proposals that has been granted. There are a series of activities worth 6 meetings that comprising the program. We have finished the fine-tuning architecture studio part 1 and 2, which involves selected students from 35 universities. Then we have webinar that is worth 2 meetings, which is what we are doing right now. And later on, by the end of 2021, we will have international webinar on digital architecture, which is organized by Universitas Atmajaya, Yogyakarta, in coordination with Universitas Negeri Malang and APTARI. That's the brief overview of World-Class Professor Program organized by Architecture Study Program. Now, I will briefly introduce you to the Architecture Study Program. Let me share my screen for a second. Okay, I hope that you all can see my screen. So, architecture study program is established in 2011, and it is a part of Department of Architectural Engineering Education. The department itself has 3 study programs. The first one is architectural study programs, which it offers undergraduate course, and the architecture education study program, and as well as Master of Architecture, which is the newest study program that has been established in 2019. We have 30 lectures across these 3 study programs. And we also have 3 research groups. The first one is Architectural History, Theory, and Dwelling Research Groups. And the second one is Building Science, Technology, and Materials Research Group. And the third one is Architectural and Urban Planning Research Groups. So that's the brief overview of our study program. Now, before we move on to the next agenda, a reminder for all of you to mute your microphone while the session is ongoing, unless you have questions to ask or you have anything to give in the discussion session. And then we're going also to post the attendance form in the chat box towards the end of our webinar, so please make sure to not miss it. Next, we are going to have a welcoming speech by the Vice Rector for Education and Student Affairs of Indonesia, of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Didi Sukyadi, MA. And also, I would like to respectfully ask Professor Didi to officially open our webinar. Good morning, Professor Didi.
Morning, Anna.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning, everyone. Good. What about you?
I'm great as well. Can't wait to start our meeting today. So, are you ready for the speech?
Yes.
Professor Didi?
Okay.
Great. So, without further ado, I will pass the session over to Professor Didi. Professor Didi, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of you. Innal hamdalillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'du. The Honorable Dean of Faculty of Vocational and Engineering Education, the Vice Dean, Head of the Departments, Professors, and the Honorable Professor T.S. Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University Technology Malaysia, the Honorable Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji, IPM, IAI, the President of APTARI, the Honorable Aswin Indra Prasta, STMT, Master of Engineering, PhD, the member of DAI, the Honorable Speaker, Dr. Beta Paramita, the Honorable Head of the Department, and also the Moderator, Ibu Tutin Ariyanti, the Honorable participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to congratulate Ibu Beta and team who has already got the award from the LPDP, the award that we call World Class Professors. Indeed, to get the grant, I think it is not easy because it is quite competitive, and many participants applying and proposing proposal for that scheme. And I believe that it has proven that Ibu Beta and also the study program have the standard that I think is similar with other standard in other universities. I also congratulate Ibu Tutin, who has already got also the grant for the improvement of the study program, also from the government, from the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. And I think this today activity is part of the sequences of activities that Ibu Beta and also Ibu Tutin have already arranged. And I believe that the impact of this activity will be felt not only by our students here in our university, but I mean UPI, but also other students all over Indonesia. I also congratulate and I also congratulate our university partner, Universitas Teknologi Malaysia, who becomes which becomes one of the highest achievement in QS ranking by subject, especially in architecture. This is rank 51 to 100. This is also a very extraordinary achievement because it is not in Asia, but it is in the world. So thank you to Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad for your willingness to collaborate with our university. Hopefully that our architecture department in OP can also follow the same step, becoming the best study program in the world. So I hope that today's agenda will give an opportunity for all of us, the speakers, to share their knowledge, expertise, and also experiences, and also for students to wider their networking and also get more information, more knowledge that you may not acquire maybe in the classroom. So this is a very good opportunity. So I do hope that you can follow the every sections, every part of the program well, and you can use the information to improve your present understanding. So I think that's all what I can say. UPI at the moment is also still in celebrating its 67th anniversary. So I do hope that this anniversary will also a kind of UPI promotion, not only in Indonesia, but also in the world. Thank you so much, Bu Beta, Bu Tutin. I do hope that a good diet will be had by all of you joining this program. Diet in not only in the food matter, but in the food for our knowledge, especially about relevant subject. Thank you, and let's we together start and open this good program by reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you so much, Professor Didi, for the warm welcome. And I know that Professor Didi is a very busy person and has a packed schedule. So before we part ways, do you mind to have a photo session first, Professor Didi?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so for all participants, I hope that you can turn on your cameras. I will take your pictures first. Okay, we have two screens. So I'm going to capture the screen. Please give me your best smiles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the second screen. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, thank you so much for all of you to have participated and turn on your camera. And thank you as well for Professor Didi for taking time to attend our meeting and opening our webinar today. I hope that you can meet again in the next agenda, Professor
Yeah,
Didi.
one moment. I also congratulate and ask Ibu Beta next year to have your own laboratory about Kulrup, yeah, because I believe that you will have a lot of money next year. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
Professor
Pak
Didi.
Didi.
I hope that Bu Beta can realize that dream, next year, hopefully.
Yeah, Bu.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Prof. Didi, I'm so sorry, Pak Hamdan just sent me the text. Perhaps he will join in a couple minutes. So he just got the, how to say that, mild stroke, just a couple days ago. So he will join a few minutes more.
Oh, because of
Perhaps just text me. Just
sate kambing, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
kindly
thank
wait.
you.
But you can off
Yeah.
your cam. Thank you
Okay,
so much
thank
for
you,
your
thank you.
welcome.
Okay. Now we're stepping to the main agenda. I'm sure that all of you can wait to have to hear the insightful speech from our speakers. And the session will be led to you by Ibu Tutin Arianti, PhD. So before we greet Bu Tutin, I'm going to read a brief profile of Bu Tutin. So Ibu Tutin Arianti, PhD is an associate professor of architecture and the head of architecture undergraduate program at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. She pursued her PhD in architecture with a minor in gender and women's study at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, supported by some scholarship, including the Fulbright Scholarship and the American Association of University Women International Fellowship. Her dissertation won the International Convention of Asia Scholars Best Dissertation in Social Sciences in 2015. Dr. Tutin is an expert at the Center of Gender, Women, and Childhood Studies, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. She is interested in gender issues in architecture, the social production of space, and Islamic architecture. She recently published a book on Southeast Asian Islamic architecture, published by Brill. She also published a popular article entitled Perempuan and Architecture, which is translated as Women in Architecture in Pikiran Rakyat newspaper, discussing gender inequality in architectural practices and the important role of female architects in designing gender responsive and safe spaces for diverse users. So good morning, Bu Tutin, how are you?
Good morning, Bu Anna. Thank you very much for such a generous introduction. I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
I'm good as well. So, okay, so since you are ready to lead the discussion, without further ado, I will going to pass the session over to you. And I wish you all to have a fruitful discussion with Bu Tutin. So Bu Tutin, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Bu Anna. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Bapak Ibu, and also Prof. Didi. Thank you so much for opening this webinar. And good morning, Bapak Ibu, the participants of today's World Class Professor 2021 webinar. I'm honored to serve as your moderator today. Okay, so please allow me to warmly welcome our four speakers, maybe Prof. Hamdan, Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad from University Technology Malaysia. Is he already here? Okay, we wish him well.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi, sir.
You.
How are you? How are you, Professor?
I'm
Hamdan?
fine. I just confused with the time.
Okay, yeah, Alhamdulillah. Okay, yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
I think our Vice Rector, Professor Didi, is still here. Maybe, Prof. Didi, maybe you would like to greet Professor Hamdan, maybe. Okay, yeah, maybe later. Yeah. Okay, I also would like to welcome Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji from the Indonesian Association of Architectural Schools, Dr. Aswin Indraprasta, the Indonesian Board of Architects, and Dr. Beta Paramita, who is the chair of this, the World Class Professor 2021 UPIN, and also the Indonesian Association Built Environment Researchers. Thank you very much for reserving your time for us today. And our today's webinar will ponder the question of how the curriculum, research, and professional practices in the field of architecture and the built environment will inform and shape the architectural education. As we all know, the architectural education today encounters complex challenges as the world is spinning so fast due to the extraordinary development in informational technology, while on the other hand, as we know, we also face the deteriorating ecological environment. We are also challenged by social and economic inequality everywhere, and all of these are intertwined and related to architecture as the container where humans live and do their activities. And architectural education is indeed a critical base where future architects are educated and trained to respond to the world's fast changes. So following the legalization of the Indonesian law number 6 of 2017 on architects, the Indonesian Association of Architects has stipulated the integration of architectural education and architectural professional practices. But how the professional requirements, the curriculum guidance and research conducted in the field of architecture and the built environment will inform our architectural education in response to the changing world. So today we are fortunate to have Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad from University Technology Malaysia, Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji from the Indonesian Association of Architectural Schools, Dr. Aswin Indraprasta from the Indonesian Board of Architects, and Dr. Beta Paramita from the Indonesian Association of Built Environment Researchers with us. Each speaker will have 45 minutes to deliver their presentations. And first, we will listen to Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji as the president of the Indonesian Association of Architectural Schools, and then followed by Dr. Aswin Indraprasta. Then we will listen to Dr. Beta Paramita, and finally, we will listen to Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad as the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development, University Technology Malaysia. University Technology Malaysia, as previously mentioned by Prof. Didi, ranks 191 in World University Ranking, and it ranks number 51 to 100 in the field of architecture. So please stay tuned here to learn from our speakers, because we will have a discussion session after all of our speakers deliver their speeches. And while listening to the lectures, I invite you to please submit your questions and write them down in the chat box. Please also write to whom you would like to address your question. I will be helping to address as many questions as I can to our speakers. And also, please do not hesitate to write your questions in Bahasa Indonesia, and I will try to translate it into English. And for your information, this lecture is also live streamed on our YouTube channel. Please search for Arsitektur UPI, and please don't forget to subscribe to stay updated to our lecture series. Okay, so let's begin with our first speaker, Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji. Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji obtained his Bachelor of Architecture from Universitas Islam Indonesia, his Master of Engineering from Institut Teknologi Bandung, and his doctoral degree from Kyoto University. He is currently a lecturer at the Department of Architecture, Islamic University of Indonesia, and affiliated with the Indonesian Institute of Engineers and the Indonesian Institute of Architects. From 2001 until 2009, Dr. Priyatmaji was the director of Architectural Design 8, which worked to provide temporary shelters in the aftermath of the 2006 Yogyakarta earthquake. He conducted his doctoral research at the Research Institute for Sustainable Humanosphere, Kyoto University, Japan, to investigate the geoglow structure damaged by an earthquake and the development of the technical conservation method for damaged structural elements. Dr. Aji, the way he's called, holds numerous prestigious awards, some of which are the Newton Fund Researcher Links British Council, the Australian Grant Scheme 2017, the Innovative Housing Design Competition, and being the 5 best design for post-disaster temporary shelters held by the Indonesian Institute of Architects. Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji is currently the president of the Indonesian Association of Architectural School. So without further ado, please join me to welcome Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji. Pak Aji, time and screen are yours.
Thank you, Bu Tutin. I still can share my file now. Let me to access the share screen. So I said my voice is clear, Bu Tutin?
Yes, Pak Aji.
Yeah. So, okay. I'll wait minutes to prepare my file presentation. Well, thank you so much, Bu Tutin, and also congratulations for Bu Beta Paramita to host this kind of the outstanding achievement, I think, for world-class Professor Grant. And good morning, Prof. Didi, and also my colleagues, Pak Aswin, and all of attendants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Morning, Bapak.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. La haula wala quwwata illa billahil aliyil azim. It's honor to me to be here to share several thoughts from IASA, or Indonesian Association of School of Architecture today. And yeah, I just prepare for 43 slides, Bu Beta and Bu Tutin, to make our discussion fruitful for today presentation. Okay. Oh, sorry. I take sorry for a while. Okay. Yeah. As Bu Beta asked me to deliver about the architecture educations, yeah, bridging the gap between curriculum, research, and professional practice. Today, I would like to share about the shifting era. So we just lost some profession today, and also some new professions appear in some kind of the new era. And some penetrated by COVID-19 is to be accelerate new profession. As well as we can see in here, unfortunately, architect as profession not appear in here. Yeah, we don't know why. So this is from the national newspaper, I think. And yeah, we just share about this kind of the new profession in recent day. And as architectural education, how to prepare about the new profession for the near future. So here is some kind of 4 obligation that we call Catu Dharma, or maybe some of you just call Tridharma, but in architecture, let me to add the fourth Tatu Dharma. So this is his professional task. So number one is about the enlightenment teaching, not only teaching, because now we're heading to outcome-based education. So not only what kind of your matter to give to your student, but what your student can be learned in your teaching. So I call this is happy learning. And second one about the research. This is not only common research, but how to increase about the innovative research and how to make motivate all of lecture to be pleasure of discovery. And the other one is very common in Tridharma higher education in Indonesia is about the community engagement. And I just put some kind of the spirit happy to share to others. And finally, as architect in architectural education, we also has professional tasks. So this is make us to make some responsible and make more trusted in some kind of the professional work. And here is our curriculum, our challenge. Yeah. So number one is about the outcome-based education. And also we heading in the recent days about the architecture, engineering, and construction 4.0. And unfortunately, still not finished. And we just meeting for the AAC 5.0. And also we attack it in quotes for the new normal. Yeah. And the third one is about the VUCA, yeah, volatile, uncertainty, and etc. And maybe start from 2 years ago, Ministry of Education and Culture are launching about the inclusive learning or Merdeka Belajar. This is very challenging to all of the study program of architecture in Indonesia. And inshallah, maybe not so long time, we will hitting the new normal. So some shifting era, some shifting culture, and also shifting work, how to learn about the architecture will be challenged in the near future. Yeah, I just call the curriculum now is how adaptive curriculum that you can use in your study program. So first, let's talk about the outcome-based education, how to rise about the experiential learning in here, and also ASC 4.0 that make our disruption and digitalization, how to create space. So maybe in the last time, all of our graduates will be excellent how to create space, but now maybe it's very amount of the space in Indonesia, maybe also in the world. So the skill how to recycle and also how to upscaling the space itself, it's very important now, not only create the space. And the third one about the volatile, uncertain, complexity, and ambiguity. Yeah, and also we just attack it or penetrate it by new and normal. Yeah, due to the COVID-19. So it's very complicated one. And the fourth one is about the inclusive learning. So how the learning process give some kind of the inclusive learning from the student, and also to increase what kind of the experience and also knowledge from the student for 3 semesters in outside of the home university. And yeah, finally we heading to new normal, and also this is some shifting how to learning process in architectural study program, some kind of the blended learning. This is not only for the session but also for the matter itself, the some kind of the learning modules to enhancing knowledge and experience. Okay, so I would like to bring off you to the map of knowledge now. This is taken from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Department of Architecture. So they divided into 4 quadrants about the map of knowledge. So number 1 is about the arts and creativity. design is very important thing. Why? Because we need to bring integrated one between curriculum, research, and also professional practice. That way, maybe arts and creativity, it's most important thing in architectural education. And second one is about the business and entrepreneurial. I think this one is also important, yeah, to do with some kind of the shifting era, to anticipate and also mitigate some kind of the architectural business and entrepreneurial business in architecture matter. And third one is information and technology. So rise some kind of the artificial intelligence and also the broad way about the information architecture and architectural technology itself. Just we call about the building performance simulation and etc. And the fourth ones that we know about the science, social, culture, environmental, and concerns. And this map of knowledge, I believe that give more impact to the near future for the career for architectural student. Yeah. Also, this one is map of future career. So maybe sculpture is not so famous maybe in the past time, but now sculpture, building curator, and etc. It's so very challenging and interesting to do with the new graduate student, yeah, from our architectural study program. Yeah, and fortunately, we just have in very detail 4 quadrants about building, construction, rural, urban, and design itself. So 25% our graduate student, yeah, will be as an architect professional, like in red line in here. So about the design, but only in the building design itself, but also graphic designer, lighting designer, interior designer, and etc. And in other quadrant, we also hitting for the constructions matter, yeah, building curators, building appraisal, construction manager, and etc. And yeah, in the macro level, and also we have some kind of the rural urban knowledge in here about the developer, community culture, and so on. And for the design and rural urban, also we have the graduate student, yeah, for rural urban designer, rural urban planner, and they have some kind of the excellency how to make macro and meso area between building. Well, how to prepare this kind of the new professions? Yeah, so we have 5 years architectural education that now in Indonesia still 3 higher educations. Yeah, Universitas Islam Indonesia, Institut Teknologi Bandung, and also Universitas Gadjah Mada. That's in their curriculum has already applied for the 5 years architectural education. So after that, the graduation student can be entered to professional practice education 1 year, and after that to be apprenticeship, and then finally they can get the competency test by Architect Boards of Indonesia, and finally they get the registered architect in here. Sorry, still in Bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, but we can see clearly in here 4 years for the bachelor program, and 1 year 24 credits in architect profession education, and 2 years for the internship or apprenticeship, and then they can get the competency test, yeah, by Indonesian Boards of Architect. Yeah, so here is for, I think Pak Aswin will be more detailed to describe about this. I just would like to share to you about the platform domain for the higher education from Indonesian Architect of Indonesia and also Indonesian Boards of Indonesia. So we just walk in same line, same goals, but maybe in the different pattern. Yeah. Also in ASEAN, we have ASEAN Architecture Education Committee, and every 4 months, yeah, we meeting together with the 10 countries that we discuss about the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Agreement. That architect itself, architect as professions, include in the ASEAN MRA in here. So this is some regional issue. Yeah, here is for the ASEAN architect from 10 countries. And here is some kind of the main ideas from AAC forum, yeah, about the updates of metrics and also academic exchange and etc. I think this is very fruitful for 140 higher education in Indonesia to hold the architectural study program, yeah, now recent days. So in IASA or in Aptari, also we mitigate and anticipate about the whole what kind of the global issue. So we divide our area in Indonesia like our divided time, yeah, Western Indonesian time and etc. But in here, especially we just divided 3, but with the different area. Yeah, for example, in West coordinators include the Sumatra, Bangka Belitung, and Kalimantan. This is in West area, and the middle area we just divided for Java, Madura, and Bali. Although just 3 islands, this is still huge amounts of the higher education to hold the architectural study program in here. So it's very challenging to make a balancing about the amount of study program in Indonesia. And from the east area, we have Kalimantan, East Nusa Tenggara, West Nusa Tenggara, Papua, and Maluku. Yeah, so it's very huge area. But the architectural study program in there, which is the higher education, it's just not so many, yeah, for recent days. And then, so we just make some kind of the work path in here, yeah, how to make services, yeah, to all of the higher education in the architecture. Yeah, so we have represents member in Palu, Palangkaraya, Jakarta, Bandung, also Yogyakarta, and Denpasar. How to make some kind of the equality, yeah, among of the architectural higher education in Indonesia. So yeah, so this is challenges. Yeah, so we have a vision about the global reputation, and some of the architectural higher education towards to be achieve some kind of the international accreditation itself, and also hitting some VUCA, volatile, uncertain, and complexity and ambiguity. Yeah, and also we push to all of the study program of architecture in Indonesia to has the excellence of Indonesia characters. Yeah, so every study program has excellency. So we push to have some living laboratory. Maybe, for example, in Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, maybe in Bandung has some kind of the excellency itself for the building performance simulations, or maybe some kind of the Islamic architecture and etc. Yeah, so the next one is about the how to responsive to community empowerment and environmental preservation. This is some kind of the common vision, yeah, but maybe not all of our study program in Indonesia applied this kind of the vision. And finally, this is also the most important thing about the entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah, so in some moment we call RC-preneurship or architectural preneurship. Yeah, I think this is now is very common and happening. Yeah, and please do make some preparation for the entrepreneurial spirits in your curriculum. Yeah, and also we have some external challenges, 5-year education, FUCA itself, and also registration certificates or STRA, yeah, and also international recognition. So we have maybe 2 or 3 NAAB, KAAB, and etc. Yeah, this is depend on your characteristic in your study program. And the last is about the ASEAN ASC that I said before in a previous slide. Yeah, in internal challenges, we have inclusive learning. Yeah, until now, I think this is still progress. And maybe as short as I know, MPKM will be more greater, yeah, to do with cooperation with some kind of the national cooperation, national agency. Yeah, so we have also in Badan Akreditasi Nasional, we have accreditation issue, and also outcome-based education that will be safe from the lecture and student ratio 1/30, now 1/60, is it right? But in OBE, this is nothing. Yeah, just shifting the meaning of the ratio between lecture and a student. Yeah, just for your information, in Korean accrediting architectural boards, ratio is no matter. The most matter is about the time for student meeting and discussion with their lecture. Yeah, minimum 40 minutes per week. Yeah, so you can calculate yourself how many credit earnings, how many frequency per week that we can do, we can share with the schedule of the course per week. Yeah, and also ACE 4.0, that one is about the uniqueness. In APTARI, in IASA, we also push strongly about the uniqueness of the study program. So we can take and give for the content and also for the curriculum itself. It's very unique. Yeah. And finally, also we hitting for the new normal. Maybe I will share with you about how to mitigate, how to anticipate new normal in our campus. Yeah. In the right page, this is some kind of the mission that, yeah, just to purpose for the global architectural education in Indonesia, how to empower the poor and preserve the environments, how to integrative learning process, and etc. And the other one is about the blended learning, and the most important things that I said you before about the creative design entrepreneur. Yeah, this is very happening now. Yeah, so how to create the adaptive curriculum. So we firstly must be understands about the aim and future expertise skill, yeah, in the future and in every level. For maybe Diploma 3, Diploma 4, D3, D4, and also undergraduates, postgraduates, architect professional education, and etc. And that's I written in here. It's very common, and it's very important for how to apply it in architectural curriculum in recent days about the analytical thinking and innovation, active learning, complex problem solving, and etc. Yeah, so this is our roadmap from APTARI for architecture education. Yeah, about the roadmap itself of architecture higher education in Indonesia, supported by their diversity to synergize and collaborate. This is related with a curriculum that's for the topics for the world-class professor today, and also diversity of professional profiles. Yeah, so we have some kind of the how to mapping professional profiles recent days in Indonesia. So I think this is related with the professional practice, and also learning outdoor corridor. Yeah, the professional path, competency test, formulation of the pastime recognition learning, yeah, or RPL. Also, how to initiate and innovate of the standard modules, because this one is very related with the inclusive learning or Merdeka Belajar. So also this one, besides the roadmap of architecture education, also we purpose equality of study program in all of Indonesian higher education. And recent days, member of APTARIS is 140 higher education. Yeah. So how to emphasize about the outstanding study program will embrace other university. So we call departmental coaching. Yeah. And also the proposed activities like joint studios, student mobility, and etc. Advantages of study program and etc. Yeah, also how to improving the quality and resilience of the study program in various activities. Yeah, I think this is very related or curriculum and or research in near future. And that's the uniqueness that I said before. This is related with the living laboratory. So every study program in Indonesia we push has a living laboratory. Maybe in Tadulako University, maybe in Siah Kuala University, well, they have some kind of the youth experience, yeah, youth knowledge about the earthquake resilience. Yeah. So this is his living laboratory, or maybe some higher education in West Java with the Baduy tribes and Kampung and also Kampung Naga and etc. This is very it's very most important thing, how to create the living laboratory in its study program in Indonesia. Yeah, the other one is about the increasing the international accreditation, and yeah, the last one is the readiness of study programs that will open, yeah, architects education professional education in collaboration with Indonesian Architect of Indonesia. Yeah, so here is for a priority quadrant work program, APTARI. So we push, yeah, we provide some kind of the key finding between curriculum, research, and also professional practice. In black one, it's about the hub of architectural research, collaboration with construction industry and architectural bureau and etc. This is how to bring studio culture from the architectural bureau to bring in our campus, to bring in our studio. Yeah, and this one about the joint studio, student mobility, yeah, in equality study program, and also bring and collaborate the professional to our kitchen, in quote unquote, in our studio. So the understanding between the professional practice and also architectural education is most important thing in current era. Yeah, so here is some summary about our discussion before. Yeah, solid and compactness in each of the study program in higher education and also excellency program. Please define some kind of the excellency program. Yeah, for example, maybe in Brawijaya University has some kind of the Nusantara architecture, or maybe in Warmadewa has kind of the yeah, with Merdeka Belajar in bamboo construction, yeah, and etc. And the third one is about the adaptive curriculum that I mentioned many times about the adaptive curriculum. And the other one is about to make tough upon the routine and development program, yeah, because we thought this one maybe it's nothing with some kind of the adaptive curriculum, excellency program, and so on. Yeah, and also we push strongly about the collaboration and documentation, and finally about the laboratories, human resources, and facilities that we have know about our laboratory, knowledge group, and study center. Ya, we just call in bahasa Indonesia laboratorium, KBK, kelompok bidang keahlian, dan pusat studi. This is very latent problem. Yeah, many institutions but with the same person. Yeah, so yeah, just commonly we have laboratory divided as history theoretic of architecture, architectural design, urban-rural planning, and etc. But the persons in charge is almost same with in the knowledge group or in study center that we have in department. Yeah, so this is very, very unique in architectural education in Indonesia. Yeah, so here is 5 years architectural education that we must to be integrated with the SKKNI, yeah, or the Indonesian national standard, yeah, with the first year. Sorry, still in Bahasa Indonesia. First years until the 9th years. So if you have for the heads of the study program, if you have not only bachelor program, also PPR or architect professional education program, and also magister program, and also doctoral program, this will be well prepared, yeah, from the first year that your student already enter in your study program. Yeah, so one by one, what kind of the matters, knowledge, and also learning methods that avoids redundant material, redundant substance in each year. So this is the most important thing. Yeah, this one is also how to create learning strategy to achieve, yeah, we call CPL or LO, learning outcomes. This document I taken from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Department of Architecture. So we just carefully, yeah, to put from the studio in first year, first semester, until studio in 10th semester in PPR, in architects professional education. So DS, it's mean design studio. EDS, this one, it's mean integrated design studio. How to bridging, how to transfer, how to make some kind of the modification, and they call for the 2 years early this one for the design as fundamental skill or fundamental periods, yeah, 2 years. And after that, they move to design as architectural excellence with the architectural design studio or ADS. And finally, they use final architectural design studio, and they can stop in here as sarjana arsitektur or sarjana teknik, yeah, maybe in your study program. And after that, they can move, they can continue their study in PPR with architectural professional studio 1, architectural professional studio 2. Yeah, this one is how to learning strategy, put one by one in the step by step in each semester. Okay, and also this one is that I mentioned before about the relationship between lab and courses, also with the knowledge groups, yeah, or KPK. It's very, very unique in Indonesia, yeah. So how to make a very clear, yeah, term and condition, also hak dan kewajiban in each of the person in charge in each of the laboratory. It's very, very challenging. And here is how to implement the learning process, yeah, between the student learning space, knowledge development, and also relationship with the laboratory and cluster activities. Yeah, we have not only lecture, also we have tutor, instructor, and also assistant. Yeah, we have 4 kind of the educational tasks, yeah, to accompanying the student learns about the architectural method. Yeah, this one is also a relationship between undergraduate program, yeah, with the PPR student and also master program student in here. So integrated one, beyond of the Merdeka Belajar, because Merdeka Belajar just only for the undergraduate program now. But I believe near future, Merdeka Belajar not only for undergraduate program, also for postgraduate program in architecture, professional education, and also in master program. So here is the sense of MBKM that I believe that you already know this. Yeah, it's of the scheme inclusive learning that we call inclusive learning, not freedom learning, because freedom learning is very risky to be make some others meaning. But inclusive learning, it means all of the mandatory courses or maybe some kind of the optional courses can be accelerated all student, yeah, in the near future. Okay, here is how to implement it. So we have three kind of the steps: ideas, delivery, and also execution. Annual activities, execution. How to bring the professional to the class. So some study program in Indonesia for architecture has general lecture. I think this is a good tradition, and also quiz lecture. And some can hold some architect talk to invite, to bring the professional architect to enter, to accommodate in our campus, yeah, to make some kind of the master class and etc. Yeah, here is for the kaleidoscope, yeah, for example, from Universitas Islam Indonesia, Department of Architecture. So every month, they hold the general lecture, quiz lecture, architect talk, master class. Why? To bring more near, yeah, to be professional work, professional practice. Yeah. So one by one. And also this one is about to enhancement with the professional practice, also with the international collaboration. They have joint studio, yeah, with the overseas higher education of architecture from German, from Turkey, and etc. And also summer school every year, every semester, yeah. And also they include to follow the visit to ASEAN and did some international workshop. And recently to get the ISMA, or International Indonesian Student Mobility Awards. Yeah, this one is just I taken from the Universitas Islam Indonesia to show all of you about the bridging the gap, yeah, between the curriculum, research, and etc. So here is his joint studio with some experts, yeah, from overseas higher education of architecture to bring in our class, to bring in our studio. This is maybe not all semester, but maybe several session, yeah. So in other sites, they join studio for one semester or bedol semester, and in other but just join in several session itself, yeah, depend on the needs in each of studio with the semester learning plan. This one is also for quiz lecture from Wellington University from New Zealand about the material construction and course. Just 2 and 3 sessions, yeah, in each semester to bring and to fulfill the gap between the professional practice, from the curriculum and also for the research itself. Yeah, this is also studio culture and bring the class to architectural bureau about the teamwork, work with target studio, final studio. Yeah, we also hitting and prepare for the blended learning to hitting the new normal, and also to make tradition for the design competition, studio off and in campus. Studio off and in campus, this is special for PPR or architect or professional education, and also apprenticeship and internship in near future. So here is a studio culture now. Yeah, it's look like almost same with the architectural bureau. So they can do remote work, collaboration with cloud storage, also enhance the infrastructure but low security, yeah, and also enhance with the multi-sharing devices and document sharing. It must be important. But just please remember, maybe some of the student will be get some psychological inertia, yeah, some illness from how to make some suddenly habits, yeah, with the remote work, individual work, and etc. Yeah, here is hybrid studio that also we purpose and we introduce to architectural study program in Indonesia using the cloud computing. But don't worry, if your institution is not need this one now, I think it's no problem. Yeah, step by step, how to increase the storage and mobility with your student, with your lecture, and etc.
Aji,
Okay,
3 more
yes.
minutes.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Bu Tutin. So this is bridging the gap, architectural holiday. Yeah, we have architectural holiday. Yeah, with PAI also maybe near future with PAI about the integrated education and research. And also we have architectural Blue Ribbon Awards and how to bring the professional work, professional product in joint exhibition. Yeah, with look like Sakapari, and we publish thematic publication also. This one is some kind of the architectural Blue Ribbon Awards. Yeah, in level of the execution from bridging the gap between the curriculum and also professional practice. Yeah. Also, we have joint exhibition, yeah, and also to make some book publication, right together with the professional practice, professional architect. In every year, every semester, yeah, and some kind of the review from the architect professional also. So here is also we invite the professional in researcher, experts, and also professional architect. Yeah, to share their thoughts and also theory and experience to bring in our campus. Yeah, and we enhance to international platform with the Edu Arcasia 2022 next year. And this one is architectural celebration, yeah, with international workshop on wooden architecture, parametric timber grade cell, dedicated architectural pilgrimage, thematic workshop, and etc. So here is this pleasure to discover that I mentioned before about the competency roadmap, yeah, and etc. I think it's very valuable to do with our curriculum and integrate with our learning process. Yeah, this one is also community engagement or pengabdian masyarakat. So integrated one with 3 dharma, but we have the 4th dharma or professional path. This one is some kind of the samples that we bring research and also curriculum itself. Yeah, this one is collaboration with Institute Teknologi Bandung with UII in Sumba 2 years ago, and insya Allah will be held also in Halmahera Barat next year. This one 2019, and here is this parametric timber grade cell also in our campus, activated by 3 higher education in Indonesia. And here is some kind of the student mobility, how to bring the curriculum itself integrates with the others curriculum in higher education in overseas university. Yeah, this one also for visit to ASEAN to bring worldwide knowledge. So here is the summer school itself. Yeah, also we bring the community engagement. Yeah, we get the funding from Australia Global Alumni for the Bambuland Social Enterprise. So here is from Ministry of Education, how to integrate research, curriculum, and professional practice. Yeah, we call LOR or local outstanding well-being. Yeah, also yeah, good point for the rural urban initiative. So here is also the relationship between research and curriculum itself. Yeah, we just received funding from the Newton Fund Sterling. This one is how to make more integrate between research and curriculum. Okay, yeah, I just invite to all of you, yeah, to stay with us in international workshop on wooden architecture 2022 and also Bamboo BEM, yeah, with UII, ITB, UNISA, and also University of Sydney, Australia, inshallah next year. Yeah, I think it's all, Bu Tutin. Hope it's fruitful for our discussion. And finally, just do adaptive curriculum with collaborative research to bring inclusive practice. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Aji. It is very rich, yeah. We have learned so much from both the APTRI and UII, which has held an international accreditation. So we have learned how the architecture curriculum should be adaptive in responding to both the internal and external challenges, including the, I have noted here, OBE, AAC 4.0, VUCA, Inclusive Learning or MBKM, Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka, and of course the new normal. The curriculum should demonstrate the program's uniqueness in line with the Indonesia's character. And the APTARI also has 4 quadrant priority programs for institutional strengthening, organizational strengthening, the roadmap of architecture education, and the study program equality. Pak Aji also highlighted how the KBK or expertise specialization group can be the core to develop the educational program in architecture, and the need to collaborate to include the external can be professionals, academicians, and also other universities to fulfill the gap between the academic and the professional and to benchmark with the world-class universities. Thank you very much, Pak Aji. And again, Bapak Ibu, if you have comments or questions, please write them down in the chat box. Please do not forget to mention to whom you would like to address your questions. And also please indicate if you would like to ask your question or give your comments directly to the speakers. Okay, we shall move on to our second speaker, Dr. Aswin Indraprasta. Our second speaker, Dr. Aswin Indraprasta, PhD, is Associate Professor of Architecture at Institut Teknologi Bandung, where he teaches Architectural Computation Studio, Algorithmic Approach and Design, Introduction to Building Information Modeling in Architecture, and Architectural Modeling. He completed his Doctor of Philosophy in Shibaura Institute of Technology, Japan in 2011. And his research interests revolve around computational design, building information modeling, and design representation. In addition to teaching, he is also a professional architect and BIM advisor. He is the founder of Indonesian BIM Institute, a member of the Indonesian Association of Built Environment Researchers, and a reviewer of computer-aided architectural design research in Asia. In 2020, he was appointed the Vice Dean of Academic Affairs at the School of Architecture, Planning and Policy Development, Institut Teknologi Bandung. And he also serves as the Certification and Accreditation Committee at the Indonesian Board of Architects. So please join me to welcome Dr. Aswin Indraprasta on screen. Pak Aswin, the time and screen are yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Utin. I hope my voice is clear, ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody, participants in this webinar. I'm very honored to be invited in this very good program, ya, WCP program by the Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Yeah, I would like to share a part of what Pak Dr. Priyatmaji already presented before, such as very holistic presentation about what we will face as architectural education in Indonesia. Yeah, from the very cloudy day in Denpasar, I hope that my presentation will bring the sun, yeah, to Indonesian higher education in architecture. Yeah, so my presentation entitled "Here Comes the Sun." This is for the architecture education in Indonesia. Yeah, for you that were born in 60s or 70s, yeah, you will familiar with these songs by the Beatles. Yeah, here comes the sun. So this is the title that I think very much will reflect the challenge, the opportunity of the architecture education in Indonesia. I see in the participant my seniors, my colleagues. So I will take this opportunity to share, what we in our school try to cope with the challenges that Pak Priyatmaji already mentioned about the VUCA, volatile, uncertainty, ambiguity, and complexity. Yeah. Okay. My presentation will be divided into two parts. The first part is the parts where my role as a lecturer, in Department of Architecture or study program of architecture in ITB, and the second part is the my role as the member of Indonesian Board of Architects that have very much obligation and responsibility to govern, how the professional architects in Indonesia will practice, in the near future, So the first part of my presentation entitled Future Architects, the critical collaborative thinking. This part of the skills that previously mentioned by Pak Priyatmaji, I took that deliberatively from the book by Professor Randy Deutsch. Professor Randy Deutsch is a professor from University of Urbana-Champaign, the same university with Dr. Tutin Arianti. From his book titled Think Like Architects, there is some chapter of that book that I will explain positively, because this critical and collaborative thinking is significant aspect for students that will become an architect. As architecture requires the involvement of many people, it's likely that you will enter practice. You will be collaborating with wide range of professionals, and that the need for you to be able to collaborate effectively will become more important over time. The architect working on collaborative teams has implication for education. Recently, more than 80% of architects rated collaboration with stakeholders as important or critical. Yet, fewer than half that many, only around 30% of interns and recently licensed architects indicated that they have performed collaboratively prior to completion of their education program. So this is the profile of architecture education according to Professor Deutsch. To achieve the architect's social contract to make the life better, it helps to work with others. So this is some kind of, I think, in my opinion, will radically challenge how we teach architecture to our students. Ask question if you don't know something, or better yet, have a classmate look at what you are planning on presenting well before the pin-up. While most tutors want students to do their own work, in its most fundamental form, that is what collaboration can do for you. Means provide you with another pair of eyes. So this is some kind of studio cultures that the School of Architecture should maintain. The significancy of pin-up, or the session where students and tutor can learn collaboratively, give input one of another. But there's a catch. Can collaborative thinking be abused? Sure. For example, when a student goes from tutor to tutor, students to student, asking each for their input, but not stopping for evaluate their feedbacks. So just asking until they hear what they want to hear. This is not the positive impact for collaboration. This is just where collaborating is just really looking for praise or a consensus. So please pay attention what the importance of feedbacks really means for the way each student can learn architecture. Yeah. Architects are not only creative problem solver, but problem definers and identifiers. As you may know that in seminal books by William Pena, yeah, the problem seeking, almost 40 years ago, I think, 50% of the design process is deal with the problem definition. Yeah, so how we can teach student to encapsulate, to define the problem or weak problem by the architecture education. It's only the best way to do it is by have a pair of eyes to evaluate your work. Yeah. Why is collaboration is important? Yeah, because architects design with others in mind. Yeah, you will soon be entering a quickly transforming global design practice environment, one where emerging technologies are enabling. So technology is just enable factors, yeah, and a world increasingly in environmental, economic, and societal stress, yeah, crisis that requires collaboration. As previously mentioned by Ibu Tutin and also Pak Aji, the world that will be faced by our future architects is very different than ours, yeah, because yeah, FUCA, for example, that's very dynamic environment, very challenging need for a very different mindset. Yeah, the important thing is for you to think of collaborating. What is collaborating? The ability to work well with others. Yeah, not just work with others, but work well with others and engage in teamwork and consensus decision making. It's just another tool in your toolbox, another tool for our students' ability, another goal for capaian pembelajaran, yeah, or student outcomes. Yeah, collaborate when you need alignment, when the solution isn't straightforward and obvious, when it isn't a distraction from getting the work done. Yeah. So again, this is from a chapter by Professor Deutsch. In another books by Professor Deutsch, which entitled Super Users, he emphasized, yeah, on the another form of collaboration. Previously, collaborating with others disciplines, other human beings, yeah, work well with others pair of eyes. Another challenging realm or environment is a dynamic workspace and workflow. Yeah, design professionals are experiencing a shift right now, and some are more comfortable with it than others. In order to increase productivity, profits, and frankly our chance to survival, also known as stay relevant in our profession, according to, we can see the quadrant previously presented by Dr. Priyatmaji. We all need to get comfortable with it. What comfortable? The dynamic challenge to always improve ourselves as a profession. Yeah, we are entering a world where the architect's relationship to computers and other machines and to other software and to other digital tools is leading to one of two outcomes. In the near future, the design professional will be an augmented and informed architects. So this is the another level for AI, yeah? Not only artificial intelligence, but in the context of architects profession, this is in augmented and informed architects. Why? Because nowadays information is everywhere and very what we call abundant. Yeah, how our future architect can maximize the potential of information to their own capabilities. Yeah, this is what Professor Deutsch mentioned by augmented and informed architects. In another diagram, this is illustrate the impact of information technology to the practice of architecture, yeah, in the professional architectural practice. In the 80s, we know that the first impact of the computational tools is the computer-aided design and drafting, where up until now, this technology still intake and still practices in most of our professional firms, yeah. And then in 2000 up until now, we are entering the BIM era, for example, yeah, because what is the difference between the BIM era and CAD era? BIM technology try to encapsulate the what CAD technology cannot bring, yeah, because in BIM technology, BIM methodology, BIM platform, it is try to integrate the different parts of design stages, different disciplines, different actors. So we can imagine how we can teach in the architectural education where the professional practice is already in the course of changing. Yeah, it's not only a linear process now, but now in the very conceptual stage of design, it is already collaborating. Yeah, in the BIM standards, even at the very conceptual design where previously it is mandatory conducted only by the architects, now we can collaborate with engineers. Can you imagine how we have to change the mindset of the students to collaborate with others, students from other disciplines to engage with the same problem, same design problem, because what we will design, we will be built. So we have to communicate with others that are responsible for the construction, for example, and not just for construction, the post-construction, the people who will dwell in our architectural form. Yeah. So what next after BIM era? BIM is the, in my opinion, BIM is just a gate for the next wave of architectural, what we call architectural shifting paradigm, the computational design paradigm. Because once the computational thinking, information technology enter the realm of architecture, realm of design process that previously only can be or the domain of the human, maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, we will have we will see the building design or the architectural design not designed by the human, but only selected by the architect. But the design process itself generated by the complicated script or complicated workflow of the machines. So this is the part of what Pak Dr. Priyatmaji mentioned about how we adapt and respond to this kind of situation where the world is changing in the architectural profession. So yeah, this is the explanation about the that previous illustration. Unlike the CAD technology, BIM and IT related roles that preceded them, the super user, the label that coined by Professor Deutsch for those professional born in the millennial, and practice in the field of architecture and other related businesses, focus on the skill set and mindset, on the hard skill and soft skill, on the specialist depth and wide social wingspan, on technology and design. So we see that the new breed of architects will have both capability, the generalist and also the specialist. The generalist will have a wide social engagement, but the specialists have the very depth understanding and very depth capability of the skill set on computation and multivarious interdisciplinary skills. Okay, leading our teams from an industry into the future. This is the challenge, the real challenge that Indonesian architects and engineers will have to compete with international professionals. Yeah, we are already a member of MRA in ASEAN, as also presented by Pak Priyatmaji previously. At the risk of oversimplifying, they are specialists with interpersonal intelligence. Don't forget that in order to collaborative well with others, architects in the future should have the interpersonal intelligence, an ability to understand emotional behavior in others and leverage it to achieve result. Architects, informed and augmented architects, is not just nerds, but also have to have a social intelligence, work well with others, have empathy, with others, Okay. This is another excerpt that I took from online resource, by Dickinson. He questioned the architectural education. Architectural education will have to change or risk becoming irrelevant. No profession has changed more than architecture. Forget about aesthetics. The delivery system in building design are changing. By BIM disruption, the delivery system of architectural objects is changing faster than academia can create a pedagogy to teach them. This is very much grounded opinion. If education needs to have building as its focus to adapt a new production methodologies, students will need more guild-like integration into practicing firms. This approach means going beyond the present presentation, focus on studio-based learning, and spending more time learning to make buildings from those who are making them. So of course we have to put a grain of salt in this opinion, but the positive side of this opinion is we are in the architectural education not only focused to create or to put emphasis on how design building that have aesthetics element, stability in construction and so on, but also have to understand how the industry make this design into reality. I will speed up my presentation. This is the old presentation by Makoto Watanabe architects about the experimentation with generative design methodology. Okay. Another opinion by Professor Ashraf Salama is related with how architectural education should redefine itself. Architectural school are exploring possibilities to expand from education delivery system that aim to graduate students able to meet the need of the profession to a teaching learning process that produce people who can create opportunities for themselves. Yeah, Pak Aji mentioned about the artpreneurship. Yeah, this is what Professor Aslaf Salama provoke. Yeah, the architectural school should have to be able to give student opportunity to create opportunity for themselves. Yeah, the effort is to embed self-learning and to offer student multiple learning opportunities. This is very much relevant these days. Yeah, while fostering their capabilities to shift from passive listeners to active listeners. This is a challenge to most of Indonesian culture. Yeah, from passive listeners to active listeners, from knowledge consumers to knowledge producer. We know that another disruption of the education, for example, came from Khan Academy, for example. This is one of the phenomena that only occur these days, yeah, thanks to the internet and other IT invention that we are all able to learn something from everywhere. Yeah. While this is challenging, the prospect is promising. Every single program, module, course, studio in architecture become an opportunity for reproduction and reinvention of architectural knowledge. So this is very much the sun that I will invite you coming to our school, yeah, architectural school, to create, to generate our course, our studio that becoming a reproduction or reinvention of architectural knowledge. Of course, this requires adaptation and mitigation to cope with unprecedented situation. Yeah. Okay, now how this is in my experience, yeah, how we deal with this challenges, yeah. Initiative to encourage collaborative thinking. So better late than never. 2 years ago in 2019, the initiative was brought to life by common concern amongst the engineering department and architecture department in ITB. So in 2019, we set up what we call mini collaborative projects amongst the 6 departments in ITB, including architecture, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and interior design. In 2019, we have about 30 students total. Yeah, this is voluntarily projects and not prior MBKM. Yeah, so we have only two credits. Each of the department have 2 credits for a student who involved in this mini collaborative projects. So now in this year, along with some constraints, the most limitation is because of the pandemic. Yeah, we reinstate the second collaborative and integrated design project this year involving 6 departments. The new member is physical technique, yeah, industrial physics engineering, teknik fisika join this program, and 70 students also join this program from 7 departments in Institut Teknologi Bandung. Each team comprises of students from various departments, and the project is to redesign building system of a lecture building or gedung kuliah umum that has goal, yeah, that design system should be adaptive and responsive for a new learning paradigm. So we design this program so that on every problem they face, each team must work together from different department, from different point of view. We hope this allowing different perspective and different knowledge to flow with the discussion. So this program start at the end of the August this year, yeah, up until 20th November for final jury. From 70 students, we divide into 4 groups, yeah. So apparently it is hard and worth fighting for, especially for the students to have a real collaborative experiences before they graduate. Yeah, there are some challenges, of course, especially because each of the student cannot meet face to face. So they had sometimes for ice breaking, yeah, to know each other and so on. But in the process, they work together. So these are some of the progress report, yeah, on our progress seminar. So this is team A, team ATAP, consisting of several members from architecture, civil engineering, environmental engineering, mechanical engineering, industrial physics engineering, and interior design. This is very interesting to see how they can discuss, yeah, the problem they face, and they propose what is our group's best approach for proposing solution of this kind of project, yeah. This is part of the group A presentation. The case study is a lecture building in campus Jatinangor, one of the outside Bandung, yeah, campus of ITB. So this team has to redesign this building so that it has an innovative solution of the building system, including reduce the operational energy utilization. Of course, the civil engineering can recalculate if the architects or architecture department, architecture students or interior design student came up with the addition of the room, for example, and such kind of things, yeah. Of course, the platform is challenging because they can only communicate through online platform, yeah. So, for example, architecture students design or propose a conceptual design through SketchUp and then develop in Revit. After that, civil engineering students calculate the design with their own and familiar software, while industrial physics students can use this data to analyze for the acoustic performance, for example, yeah. And throughout this process, me as one of the mentor can see that the students, at least the participant in this program, have no problem, yeah, with works with other students, as long as they given opportunity, given the goals, given opportunity, and given the task, yeah, to do what is the ultimate goal for your groups, yeah. The architecture and the interior design students works pretty much very close, because interior design will design the interior elaboration, yeah, from the previous design, existing design, and architecture, of course, will deal with how this design can communicate with other students. For example, from the point of view from engineering physics that calculate the operational energy and also the thermal comfort in this particular classroom, for example. Yeah. So this is another example at the same group. Yeah, they propose another innovative facade, for example, where industrial physics students came up with the new material, yeah, titanium dioxide, for example, to improve the energy performance and also daylight performance of the interior on these buildings. And the students from environmental engineering propose vegetation that may reduce, yeah, the sun radiation. Yeah, of course they came up also with the system, irrigation system. Yeah, that maybe architectural students never hear before. Yeah, oh, this is the irrigation, a new irrigation system that I never heard before. So let's propose in this in our project. Yeah. Another example is team B progress report. Yeah, also consisting different students from different disciplines. Yeah. They came up with the renewable energy, yeah, how we can put a solar panel in the roof of our buildings, for example. What is the consideration? What is the catch? What architects should provide, yeah, when after the calculation we need certain volume of batteries, for example, yeah. This calculation came from the students from electrical engineering departments. And of course, the input from this particular purpose should be accommodated by a student from architecture and also interior design.
3 more minutes, Pak Aswin.
Yes, okay. Another calculation from engineering physics department for the input for interior design and architecture students. So meanwhile, civil engineering students always concerned with the structural elements or structural elaboration made by architecture student and design interior. So to sum up with our experience, to design well is to be in joyful flow. Yeah. This is by Robert Woodbury, adding also a note from Dr. Priyatmaji previously, happy learning. Yeah, this is important. So the second, I will speed up this presentation, is the higher education and requirement for registered architects. This is the new paradigm, yeah, of professional architects in Indonesia post Undang-Undang Arsitek, ya, the law, Architects Law number 6 2017, ya. So this is the roadmap to become registered architects and also licensed architect in Indonesia. Dewan Arsitek Indonesia or Indonesian Board of Architects is the body responsible for competency examination for calon architects or to become an architect. Yeah. So this is the another elaborative scheme how the role of Ikatan Arsitek Indonesia or Indonesian Institute of Architects and also the role of Dewan Arsitek Indonesia or Indonesian Board of Architects in regulating the profession of architects in Indonesia. So Dewan Arsitek Indonesia responsible for issuing the Surat Tanda Registrasi Arsitek or Architects Registration Certificate is based on the Architects Law. Higher education 4.1 or 4.2 ya scheme shall ensure that all of these competencies are included in the curriculum and learning outcomes. Furthermore, these competencies are inseparable with the architect's performance standard or standar kinerja arsitek as already stipulated in government regulation or peraturan pemerintah number 15 nomor 15 tahun 2021. Dewan Arsitek Indonesia responsible to conducting competency examination or uji kompetensi. In chapter 33, procedure to obtain architect registration certificate is minimum 5 years of architectural higher education, followed by minimum 2 years of architectural internship and pass the examination. Higher education in architecture, 4 years bachelor plus 1 year of architect's professional program or PPAR, or 4 years bachelor in architecture plus 2 years of master of architecture program, which has a studio design, design studio. So these are the materi, the substance of competency examination. There are 13 architects competency already stipulated by Indonesian Institute of Architects and already written in the government regulation. So all of our examination is based on these 13 competencies. Based on that 13 competencies, we divide our uji kompetensi or competency examination into 5 parts. Division 1 is planning and design or perencanaan dan perancangan. Division 2 is human building and environment or manusia, bangunan dan lingkungan. Division 3 is building system, teknologi and disiplin, sistem bangunan, teknologi dan lintas disiplin. Division 4 is project and practice management atau manajemen proyek dan praktek. Division 5 history, theory and art, sejarah, teori dan seni. Each division encapsulates part of the architect's competencies as previously here. So these are the elaborated list of how we in Dewan Arsitek Indonesia divide 13 competencies into 5 division of examination. So what kind of examination? The examination will be online, as maybe most of you already know that in United States, they have architects registration examination or ARE. We will have multiple choice, check all that apply, short answer, and true or false question. The total question for this competency examination will be 150 questions that will have to finish maximum of 6 hours. So this is the end of my presentation. So my presentation hopefully can bring you a positive mindset, that the sun will come to our profession in the future. Here come the sun. Here come the sun, and I say it's all right. Opportunities are like sunrise. If you wait too long, you miss them. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give this opportunity back to moderator Dr. Utin Arianti. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Pak Aswin, for your insightful presentation. Pak Aswin has highlighted the very critical skills that future architects should possess. The future architect should master critical collaborative thinking, working well with others, and engage dynamically with both people and machines, to have both the skill set and mindsets, to have interpersonal intelligence as well as emotional and social intelligence. So architects should be superhuman, right? Okay, so let's take the opportunity because they are like sunshines. So if you miss them, they will disappear. Okay, so Bapak Ibu, let's move on to our third speaker, Dr. Beta Paramita. Doctor of Engineering Beta Paramita is Assistant Professor of Architecture at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. She obtained her bachelor degree in architecture and master of urban design from Universitas Diponegoro and pursued her doctor of engineering at the Kitakyushu University, Japan. She leads UPI Green Metric and conducts research on the urban health and well-being in high-density area, building performance simulation in architectural studio for design process, and optimizing solar reflective walls in lightweight steel house innovation. She was also the project manager of combating urban heat island through driving climate action, which is funded by the Million Cool Roof Challenge, Kigali Efficiency Program in 2019 to 2020. Dr. Beta currently serves as the president of the Indonesian Association of Built Environment Researchers. So let's welcome Dr. Beta Paramita. Bu Beta, the time and screen are yours.
Terima kasih Bu Tutin, thank you very much for your nice welcome. So terima kasih Pak Aswin dan Pak Julianto yang masih ada di sini. So Bapak dan Ibu, thank you very much for your time and still here. So I'm going to share my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I would like to give the opportunity today to present the research in architecture because I'm in Ikatan Peneliti Lingkungan Binaan Indonesia, IPLBI, that just celebrate the birthday last 2 days ago. So we've already 10 years by now. Pak Hanson also here today. Thank you, Pak Hanson. So this is our, how to say that? Yeah, actually in IPLBI, some of us in EI as well, but like me, when I'm not served as an architect, professional architect, I would prefer doing my work and my passion in architecture by research. So I would like to give some phenomena in studio architecture, whether in my own studio or in our workshop in BPS, Building Performance Simulation, which is we already have a workshop for 3 months from July to September previously. So we try to give the opportunity for the student to give the, how to say that, yeah, to make the elaboration between the research and the design. So from the very beginning, I would like to express the Steve Jobs tagline, which is this, he said that the good research is the key to great design. So we cannot we cannot have a great design without any good research. So this is also our found in my architecture studio, as well as in the workshop. The workshop itself actually the student in the workshop is 250 something, but then after that the final assignment only fulfilled by the 30% of the student. It means that somehow the student cannot compile and cannot finish all their work. So we found, sorry, I will. So we also found that the 30% of the less than 30% actually, the student in my studio, also in the workshop, they difficult to read the context, the whole context, the holistic context to design something. So that's somehow they cannot summarize the context to the problem statement and why they should design this one and why they should prepare this one. So we found this is kind of the phenomena in the architecture studio. So when I was served 2 semester back to 2 years ago as a pengampu di metodologi penelitian, research methodology in architecture. So every time I give the student the theory, problem, method, something like this, they're going to be something like a headache. And then this is heavy, this is boring. Architecture is not something like research. Architecture is not something like having some data or how to collaborate between the data, the theory, and make them together in the problem statement. So I found this is a very big problem in the architecture student, where finally they make themselves they give the barrier to themselves. They don't want to make this kind of thing to their design. And somehow when we talk about the underline of the methodology research in the architecture, how we have to collect the data, how we have to interpret the data, and then analyze the data, and then finally we have to make the synthesis to make the product of the design or the design. So I found this is quite barrier to the student when they quite lazy, actually, not a barrier. By every time I try to give them the clue, you need to make the methodology very specifically, very step by step. But then they find that yeah, it's quite boring book, and then also that is architecture is not research. But then I try to every time I try to figure out, is it really separated between the research and then design? So is it really separated between the research and the design thing? So I try to give them the opportunity to look outside, that the research is how we understand the problem. As long as we don't know the problem, we cannot solve the problem. So understand the problem itself. Some thinkers say that understand the problem going to solve your perhaps 50% of the problem itself. What is the main problem, and then how to solve what will be the next step. So here I would like to highlight that the design course, studio course, as the main course in architecture, we usually having the issue in the drawing exercise. Yes, that's the very elementary, very basic knowledge in architecture. But then when they analyze the precedents, somehow the student cannot give the red line between these precedents. They just give all the precedent. I want to build a hospital. I want to build the commercial building. They just give this A, B, C, and D precedent. But then they cannot make the red line between this one precedent and another precedent. And then how to explore the design method. The student always said that method is something like very strict, very limited. They cannot make the creative thinking. So for me, when we know how we have to conceptualizing and representing our design idea, actually that will be make the aesthetic judgment. So I myself is not a good architect, also not good creator. So, but to make the good aesthetic judgment, we need to make the several stage of the conceptualizing, also the idea to build the design. And then every time I conduct in the design course my design course or also in the workshop, I try to give the culture, nature, and technology. There are three kind of the thing that we're going to give the student how to develop their vocabulary. Somehow the student lack of the limited the technology or limited the time to read the technology. But I guess in YouTube, in Pinterest, also in Instagram, they have a lot of resources. We can provide. We can give to the student whether they can make the collaboration between the culture, nature, and technology. So somehow this is also the every time I try to give the student this question: do you really need to do the research for your design? For me, as a teacher, as a lecturer, I said yes. But then why they hesitate to do the research in their design and in their studio? And then for me, as the mentor in the studio, I really try to find that it is really applicable in the architecture design, architecture studio, which is the design based on research. So this is try to answer the previous phenomena that less student, 30% of student not able, are able to read the context and summarize a good problem statement. So I try to highlight this phenomena in the architecture studio. So in the very beginning in my studio, usually I give this how to work in the studio. So somehow each student, they have different characteristic, they have different style to design their own work. So some students, they prefer to do in the linear, from this step and then this step until this step, and then finally become a design. And then another student, they like to make some clustering, make a division. So like a parametric, they give this parameter, they're going to give any option, alternative 1, alternative 2, alternative 3. So if they make some comparison, and then they become a good design. So this is kind of the style of the student, how to make the design. So not everyone have the linear style, division style, centralized style, cycle, or investigative style. So most of the students in my studio, somehow they are in the centralized. So one put the input of the thing, and then they design. I'm not so sure they understand the input. They can make some step by step, or they can make some every single line, what is the input of the data input for this one, this data for this one, and finally I can get this this design. Yeah, for the high quality architect, the centralized will be very common, but the student forget that the professional architect, they learn a lot of hours. They learn so many experience for their work. They learn from many their own experience. Students somehow look only how the architect work, only put the like sketching, and then they become a design. They forgot the step, or they forgot the process. So perhaps we need to make some to acknowledge the student how to deliver their design process, not just input data and then one input and then final design. It's quite, for me, quite impossible to get the good to have the good design. And then I try to give the student many times. Every time I conduct the methodology research, also methodology research and design is not separated for me. So this is how you need to collaborate from research and design. So how about if we do the research-based design, we're going to know the need. Who is our client? Who is our who going to use our building, or who going to make our design more optimized? And so I'm sure that if we do the research first, the design won't be lost in translation. I mean that when we know that the climate like this, and then the environmental like this, and then the client like this, it won't be lost in translation. We can get the exact we can get the exact need of the what we supposed to do in our design. So after that, it is impossible if we do the research first, our design will be undervalued. And also, since we make the involvement and the consistency between all the presidents, we learn a lot of the experience of previous presidents. Yeah, it's supposed to be our design is more valuable. So after that, by the research-based design, we get the feedback or assessment result is more quickly. It's more effectively. For me, it's more quickly because we know the step by step and then the loop. Every time we this is something wrong, we're going to go back to the previous step, or we're going to check whether our stage is something wrong. So because our step is quite not just linear, but we have a specific step, so we know which one something wrong happened in our design process. So in the highlight, in the last thing, I would like to give the research-based design that student can not just exploring, they can test their design and also validating the design. This is quite important because when we try to say that the student just in exploring, they're very proud of their design, with the rendering and blah blah blah, something like that. When we call it have you ever tested your design? I don't think so. And then validate your design. How? We can disseminate our design by like webinar, or asking the friend, or perhaps presenting to the conference. So we need to do this design quite well. So whether our design is good, or whether our design can be launched to the society or to the community. So after that, it's quite the intrigue question. Should there be separated between the design and research role? Even it's quite difficult to find the designer and the researcher in the one package. Yeah, perhaps I'm not a good designer, but perhaps I can say that I prefer in the research base. So finding someone with the great design skill, also great research skill, is kind of like winning the lottery. It means that it's very, very rare person. By the theory, research-based design, this is just a theory, we can find that the research-based design will be focused on the building prototype, because they want to know whether our step design process is quite good or not. Perhaps back to my when I was in the architecture as architecture student 25 years ago. So we just built the maquette or the building model, but now there are a lot of opportunity. We can do the prototype online, also by the building modeling virtually. So in this method, we need to highlight the design approach. Also, we need to activate. We do the close dialogue between the who going to use our design, which is this is not going to lost in the translation, as I mentioned previously. So the four phase in the research-based design, contextual inquiry, this is the very first phase for the student. Usually in architecture studio, student very mastering this one, contextual inquiry. They can sketch, they can asking, questioning, and then doing the observation. They mastering this part. And then participatory design, somehow in the studio, we kind of, for me, myself, I never take my student studio design to the community to ask whether the home or whether the building is nice or something like, if there is something wrong, what should we do? Something like we can design, but when we face the challenge, we kind of like, I'm an architect, so I'm just design, not give the solution if there is a problem. So somehow I found that the difficulty to give the awareness to the student that if you design something, you have the obligatory and you have to face that your design going to last 50 years or 50 years or 100 years. So every time you have the fail of your design, you have to face this problem. So we have to give the student also this kind of awareness. So if the student know, they're going to very serious to analyze the previous step, become a product design. So the analyze the result from the participatory, also from the president, it would be good for the implementation of the prototype. So because they learn a lot of things from the previous work, they know exactly how to analyze the problem and how to make the good decision to make the product of the design. So after the product design, we can make the prototype as a hypothesis. Whether this is good or not, we have to make a very clear hypothesis whether our design or our process is quite good enough to be tested. And then after that, we're going to launch as the part of the solution. But then we have to open this prototype. We still have to make the looping whether this prototype also having some problem. So we still conducting our research during this prototype phase. So this is four of the phase research through design. We know that this kind of the research, design research, and then typology, because we know the precedents. But how if we don't have previous work? Like me, myself, perhaps I will show you later that we never have this kind of work previously in Indonesia. So how we can do this? So we know how to make the design study and then study by the design. So how our design going to affect to the community, or our design going to accepted by the community. So this is one of the example when I conduct my research. Actually, this is not in the studio, not my student work, but my research. So how to build the home, affordable housing with the parametric, just a very, very simple parametric process. And then we have to choose whether there's letter L or letter E shape. And then after that, we invite the student to build the home by themselves. So so this one is in the studio base. I mean that this is only in the preliminary design. But then this one, students have to know how to build exactly from the basic step until the finish. So they know exactly how to build the from the Asvin also mentioned the building construction previously. So they make the S curve by themselves, and then they calculate by themselves, and then finally they know which one is better to as the material to build, and then which one the material gives the opportunity for the speed construction or for the cost construction. So this is another example. So I always ask the student to come to the building house to make them understand. As I mentioned previously, this is not available in Indonesia. Actually, this is only in UPI. If you want to come to UPI, I would like to give some explanation. So this is a reflective wall. I found in some of the area in Indonesia, perhaps not in Java Island, but in Sumatra, also in Sulawesi, also in Kupang, and in the east area of Indonesia, they use the spandex or the metal house. So how I have to make their house become more comfort, or become more we try to make the research as their comfortability. So we make the comparison between the metal house and the normal house, as we can see in the right side, the normal house and the metal house. The metal house without any insulation, as the normal people built in the coastal area in Papua, also in Kupang, we saw a lot of this kind of the building. So after that, a student can also make some note that when we build in the very specific orientation, when we build with a specific material, they're going to give a lot of different. So this is also the opportunity to give the student understanding, also the experience, so they know exactly. So, oh, okay, I would not to build the Hebel, because Hebel is quite heavy. When the earthquake came, they're going to hit the inhabitant. It will be very dangerous for the householder. So perhaps we can have another metal Alderon. This is the brand name, Alderon, the UPVC wall, or perhaps the GRC wall. So how about if we make the reflective pane? So can you see, if you see here, that the reflective pane and the Hebel wall is nearly same. The inside, this is the inside, so the indoor temperature without any insulation. So the student also going to think about how they can design more properly. So this is in architecture studio. I would like to give some example in the workshop previously. There are 35 university joined to the workshop building performance simulation. But then after that, only 15 go back to the final assessment. So when we talk to the student, after we know exactly in the studio, you know exactly what is the basic needs for the building. We have to know about the material specification, also how to build the building envelope. So this is the lack of the skill. Somehow in student, they don't want to understand about the value, U value, K value, or perhaps the temperature. These all value, they say that this is only just value. Actually, no. If we understand all the value here, we can make the decision for the building, to the design. So this is another design from Atmajaya University, Yogyakarta. So how to design between another envelope and another envelope. So the result is quite good. When they give them the good daylight, they will give proper daylight in the indoor. So I mean that when the student understand the daylight analysis and the layout also, they can reduce the energy consumption and the indoor. So this is another example in the Atmajaya, still in Atmajaya. So students have to bring their alternative, not just one. In my studio, every time I conduct the studio, they always give me the one alternative. This is my design book, only one. And then how about if your design is not good enough? How if about your design is not in the quite standard, not good standard? They never test the design first. They just give the design the result. So this is also our student design process, lack of the stage of the design process. So this is also the step when we have the first model, we have to make the test to another model, to the sum of the parameter, and then after that we have to refine the design, whether we add or reduce something, and then finally we can make some comparison of the design. So in my perspective, if the student know exactly how to design based on the specific parameter, whether this is from the cultural, from the environmental context, from the technology context. So I bring the building performance simulation because this is my field, not because the art and history or perhaps another field of in architecture cannot do the same ways. But I guess all the field in the architecture are supposed to do in the same way. We have to do the stage of the design process. So when the student know what is the good orientation, what is how many window we need to put in our facade, where is the specific how large, how high, and then what is the specific separation between one wall and one window and another window, and then which orientation, which side of the window we should prepare. So they know exactly this one. We're not going to say like, your design is rubbish or your design is like not good enough, because we know exactly that the student already doing the testing of their design. So I would like to give some lesson learned what in the design studio design that I bring the previous context of the research-based design, how the student have to know the need they can build by the contextual inquiry, and then how to minimize the loss in translation. The student can doing the participatory design. Also, how we can avoid the our design undervalued. We can build the building model or we can make some simulation, and then when we do the greater involvement and consistency, we're going to have some proven result through the prototype or through the simulation. So simulation actually is not all the thing. I mean that, yeah, garbage in, garbage out is still our nightmare. When we put the wrong data, when we put the wrong parameter, we're going to get also the not a good prototype or good simulation result. So we also have to give the student that if we do this research-based design, the assessment result can be gathered more quickly because you use the specific tool, you use the specific stage that is going to give many alternatives. And then it's also highlight the first previous mention that the research-based design, we can focus on exploring, and then testing design, also validating the design. So we can have 3 stages of the design in the holistic. And finally, we assure that our design, that research-based design in the studio architecture, student will be able to fulfill. This is based on Undang-Undang Bangunan Gedung nomor 28 tahun 2022, that for the inquiry of the safety, safety, and then for the health, and then for the comfortability, and also for the accessibility. So the research-based design can be fulfilled the 4 of them. So in my studio, actually, I have 5. So the last one is the beauty. Don't forget the beauty. So when we can fulfill this 4K, but don't forget the the last K, the beauty, because architecture without beauty will be very boring. So this is the reference, and thank you for thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Bu Tutin.
Okay, thank you very much for your comprehensive presentations, Bu Beta. So I would like to highlight that Dr. Beta urged for the need of research to make a great design. Design skills are developed by conceptualizing and representing architectural ideas and making aesthetic judgments about building design. And research and design are one. They are not separated, they are intertwined with each other. And research will make design more valuable. Okay, Bapak Ibu, I have to inform you that Dr. Aswin will have to leave our meeting at 11 o'clock for another agenda. So if you have any questions or any comments for him, please write down your questions and comments in the chat box, and Dr. Aswin will reply to you. Okay. So we have listened to the presentations of Dr. Priyatmaji as the representatives of the Indonesian Association of Architectural Schools, Dr. Aswin as the representation of the Indonesian Board of Architects, and Dr. Beta as the representation of the Indonesian Association of Built Environment Researchers. Now is the time for us to learn from our fourth speaker, finally, Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad. Professor Hamdan Ahmad is currently the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Development at Universitas and at University Technology Malaysia. He was the Dean of the Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, the Dean of the Faculty of Built Environment, the former Dean, I mean, and the UTM Director of MIT UTM Malaysia Sustainable Cities Program, and also former Executive Director for the Institute Sultan Iskandar, which is a wholly owned company of UTM. And Professor Hamdan Ahmad earned his bachelor degree from the University of Miami, Florida, and his PhD from the University of Manchester. His research and consultancy focus on sustainable cities and architecture design, building climatology, smart low carbon cities, and architecture design. He has contributed to many green developments and practices, including the Low Carbon Society of Iskandar, Malaysia, 2025, and Low Carbon Society for Kuala Lumpur 2030 blueprints, as well as the development of various public parks and sustainable projects in Malaysia. And currently, he is also a green building promoter and consultant, and is serving as the Malaysia GBC Southern Chapter Chair. We are so looking forward to learning from Professor Hamdan Ahmad. So without further ado, please welcome Professor Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad. Professor Hamdan Ahmad, the time and screen are yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Let me get my folder. Okay. First of all, I would like to apologize to Professor Didi, Wakil Rector 4, sorry, Wakil Rector 1. And it is basically some things that just outside of my normal routine in a way that I forget about the timetable. Yeah. Basically, I was around and I was going through my slide, and without realizing that it's already half an hour for the program to which is already starting. Yeah. My topic for today is actually architecture or architecture. Have we done enough, or are we doing too much? Yeah. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I think this is probably the reason why I was not being able to be with you on time. Basically, in my Google Calendar, I rejected these programs, and I remember Bu Beta messaged me yesterday why I rejected the invitation for today. And I guess maybe because it was many program overlapping for today, that the Google Calendar forget to remind me while I was preparing for the slide. Yeah. So my apology again to the Vice Rector who are kind enough to be with us this morning and making the welcoming remark. So I hope I will be able to go through the FB Live recorded in order, to actually say my thanks to UP. Yeah. I also like to say hi to Dr. Tutin as moderator, Dr. Priyatmaji, and Dr. Aswin as, of course, Dr. Beta. And I have listened to all of your topics and lecture, alhamdulillah. But what I'm going to say today is that probably it will be about local Malaysian architecture education, and also about the industry at the global level, or even the local level, or even the ASEAN level. Yeah. But this is the content that I thought I'm going to go through with all of you, but I may not be able to have the time, or maybe my slide do not fit enough. Yeah. The intention of my lecture this morning. So let me have the apology from the beginning if I'm not able to actually do that. Basically, I agree with all the presenters. Yeah, Pak Haji, Pak Aswin, and Bu Beta, because I'm also a lecturer, just like you, and with all the expectation. If you look at the first diagram here, yeah, we are all doing this, and I think all your presentations are about what you believe in, how you handle your studio, and how you perform outside, right? And then, of course, we are dealing with architecture students who probably, having sleepless night, intense brainstorming, and all that. And it's always happy if we give them a lot of appreciation. So this is a life of an architecture student that all of us has gone through. Yeah, and we are doing all these lecturers plus, yeah, as part of our job today. And of course, we are also talking about the industry. Yeah, basically, how can we produce students that fit the industry? But when I put that statement, are we supposed to do that? So that's the question. And I think some of you are talking about how do we do that in order for our students to actually be part of the industry and fit well with the industry. But do we have to do that? So I think these are the questions that all of us has to really think hard, because if we are only doing that, I think we are in trouble. Because like we have heard from the three speakers, probably the way we handle our student may not lead to what the industry expected. And who to be blamed? So this is the usual question. The industry blame the academia blame the industry. And who is in the middle is the student, right? The student who will be graduating. And this is a very sensitive issue. And I'm sure it is not some things that is easy for us to talk about, but it's something for us to be responsible about. As part of my preamble and introduction, I'll go through this. Let me see, how do I do this? I don't see my screen that well. Okay, never mind. Just close this. Okay. All right. This is the attributes, the knowledge and skill required in architectural study. So it's something that the school has to understand and build within our curriculum. Yeah, the designation architects is generally reserved for or by law or custom to a person who is professionally and academically qualified and generally registered, licensed, certified to practice architecture in the jurisdiction in which he practices and is responsible for advocating the fair and sustainable development, welfare, and the cultural expression of society's habitat in terms of space, forms, and historical context. As such, the training of architects must encompass those expected skills and knowledge. And these attributes, architecture knowledge and skills, are for inclusion in the program of study. So it is a very tall order. And in fact, it is something that probably why we are having this program today. Yeah? And how do we handle this? And if I go through the Lembaga Architect Malaysia or Malaysia Board of Architects, their expectation of the Part 1 graduate, which is the undergraduate programs or bachelor program, yeah, S1 maybe in Indonesia, and the LAM Part 2, yeah, which is actually here in Malaysia is the S2, yeah, the Masters of Architecture program. So this is what they actually put where it is differentiating the Part 1 and the Part 2. Yeah. So I would say, okay, if I go to the Apex Architects, yeah, again, it is the competency to create architecture design, competency to translate design concept, competent in practice of architecture or professional practice in that sense, right? So all these two expectation by the Board of Architect Malaysia, yeah, and of course there is a LAM Part 3, which is actually that will allow you to be a certified architect, which I think the Indonesians are trying to develop that now as part of having probably the new Board of Architects of Indonesia. And you know, this list of things about, yeah, APEC architects. And of course, in Singapore or by Singapore Institute of Architects, they have actually put almost a similar definition or similar descriptions. An architect is a design professional, at least here you say design professional, who uses his creativity and working knowledge of structures and materials to provide living, working, and recreational environments. To design this environment, an architect combines the practical consideration of the site, the client needs and costs with creative understanding of material, aesthetic, the cultural and physical context, and so on and so forth, which we are all doing in our architecture school. And then, of course, the diagram next to it is actually responsibility of an architect from the Singapore Institute of Architects point of view. Yeah, in terms of regulation, yeah, you must be a qualified person. Unregulated, you probably be involved in the design profession, and you know, you talk about documentation of course, contract administration. Yeah, all these are expectations within the school as well as when they graduate and be out of the school. Okay, as a student, your journey start here. Yeah, so I'm using example of UTM here, University Technology Malaysia, where we have Bachelor of Science in Architecture for 3 years, yeah, and then Master of Architecture for 2 years. And I agree with all of the last 3 presenters that the whole contents, the whole pedagogy is actually to produce these holistic designers, yeah, that could actually fit within the industry. And in my definition, I think the undergraduate program is actually about role plays so that they become technically competent and comprehensive designer. Yeah. But I also believe that when they go into the part 2 programs, I believe that they should be a thinking designer. We shouldn't actually expect certain things that they or actually put certain things that they have already done during their undergraduate program. So the next within this slide is that what do we expect them to have in terms of exposure and developing their design in the studio, is that during the undergraduate, the role play is actually about, when they start in the first year, they actually are looked at as a naive designer. This is where we wanted them to have their own self-expression. We can see the personality outcome from them, and of course, this is what we call giving them fundament. Yeah, and in the second year, they should be able to become the interpreter. Meaning that if we give them a design brief, they can interpret the brief. If they actually interview their client, they can interpret the client needs. And actually, this is where the collaborative learning starts, where they learn from each other, and then they go through the precedent studies and so on and so forth. Just like what Priyatmaji and Aswin and even Beta mentioned earlier. Yeah, and during the third year, they should play their role as integrator designer, act as problem solver, so that they become a comprehensive solution maker. And this should be a market ready, means that if they go out, they can actually deliver what is expected by the office, but may not be able to deliver what is expected as an architect, certified architect. So that's the difference. But sometimes in the industry, we expect them to become like us, this certified architect. And I think this is probably the miscommunication. And of course, when they actually go to the postgraduate Masters of Architecture program, this is what I call the thinking designer. Yeah, so they will actually deal with a lot of hypotheses and theses about design and actually explore different opportunities within the designs. Yeah, and we already assume and expected that they have certain abilities and certain technical competencies. Yeah, so when we talk about undergraduate Bachelor of Science or LAM Part 1, we're talking about they are able to draw, they are able to design, they are able to communicate. And this is good for the market. But when they actually move into the part 2, which is the master's programs, they have to be able to analyze, research, and innovate. And this analysis, research, and innovation is what Beta was mentioning, research-based design, or it is expected at the master's level. That's very easy. I mean, in Malaysia, MArch is considered as level 7 in the Malaysian qualification framework, and the expectation at this level is that they are able to think, analyze, do research, and innovate. Yeah, and I say this is about creating their own market. And at the same time, like I said, so we do have expectation and assumptions, yeah, for the postgraduate student, because they have already embarked on the undergraduate program, a Bachelor of Science in Architecture, and having the LAM Part 1. So I assume that they are independent, they are able to do research and referencing, and everything about being at master's level, right? So when we actually do that, then it is easier for us to start delivering our tasks. Now, this is how everything began. In UTM, we send this letter to the candidate. we call them for the interview. You see, this is about quality, right? So when they come in, so we wanted them to have the quality as an architecture student. So we say, okay, during the pandemic, they submit to us 3 video recorded samples, whatever they want to do. So normally they will include some of their portfolios and how they actually talk about their life and the portfolio that they submit to us. They can also submit in PDF format, their copy of their work. And of course, the previous, high school certificates and all that. And they will be called for the interview. So you see, to get them in is already hard enough. Why? Because we wanted to have the quality student, the student who knows what they are doing, and the student who really interested to do architecture. So that's how they started. So this is an example of one. The students, I don't know the names. Must be a lady student. I got this from the coordinator of the program. So they sent their portfolio of their, artwork. Then they sent to us their document, academic document. They sent to us videos that they have recorded earlier, so that we'll go through all this and actually call only those who we think meet the requirement. Okay, and then when they join us, these are the packages or the menus. I'm just using this as an example. Yeah, I think Aswin and Beta show some example of what they gone through at your own school. Yeah, and then in order again to make sure that the quality of the programs and the quality of the graduate, we have all this what we call industry advisors panel. Yeah, and this is the two that we have currently, Dato' Haizi and Dato' Azumi. This is the former president of the boards of architects, which is our alumni. And this is the current PAM president, Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia president, Dato' Azumi is also our alumni. Then we have a program called external examiners. Yeah, every year we have to do this in order to make sure that we are running a quality program. And every 5 years, in our case, we will have to go through the accreditation, CAEM architecture accreditation program, in order for us to be renewed and have the accreditation, right? So all these are about checking the quality of our programs, right? Before they graduate. See? But this is interesting. The next section is that the architecture program is only for the rich, but then lead them to be poor, right? Archinex news say 2020 most admired architecture school according to Design Intelligence. Yeah. So means that you have this architecture school. There are so many. I'm not sure how many in Indonesia. There are not that many in this country. Maybe about 20 over. And we can rank them. And we can say the top in the rank is actually the most admired architecture school. So we are doing like the ranking probably be based on the quality, or sometimes the most favorite by the candidates. Yeah, some people just would like to be in KL, for example, the metropolitan city against Johor Bahru, where our location is. Then the ranking goes higher because the location. Yeah, so all this plays significant roles in making the school, right? And these are the quite recent article. Yeah, architectural profession top list of elite occupation in the UK, right? So means that it's an elite profession. And then the other article in 2020, architecture is more elitist than the most elite university in the world. So again, architecture is prized as one of the elitist programs. And when it is elitist, it is sometimes unaffordable for a lot of students. And this study or this graphics from a study done shows that only privileged people can come into architecture school because it is so expensive. It is so, basically, in order to get the quality, you have to go through a very competitive programs, and then the school has to go through all these quality checkings that is increase the operational cost. And in order for you to be operational, then you charge higher fees. Basically, mostly that's what happened. And then only for the elite groups and for those who can afford the program, right? And these are the top 10 most admired architecture undergraduate programs in the US. This is quite recent. This is 2020. And then the top 10 most admired architecture graduate programs in the US. You can see some names duplicated at part 1 and part 2, or undergraduate program and the master's program. Means that the school is really probably good. But you can see that they are all top university in the world, in the sense that it could be so competitive to come in and probably so expensive, right? So in the same survey of the top schools in the US by architecturerecord.com, they say we also survey students, and this year 2 unexpected results stood out. So what is this 2? Okay, first, 5% drop in architecture undergraduate student wishing to go on to graduate school, means that they do not want to continue. And the second standout was the answer to the following question: if there were no barriers, what firm would you want to work for? And the answer most of them probably put is to be self-employed, right? So again, when we talk about architecture program, we keep the quality, and then we are expected to produce for industry. This is what the students say. So one is that probably they do not want to continue. 2 is that if they finish, they will work on their own, right? So this year, Design Intelligence reports that a whopping 32% of hiring managers feel that communication and decision-making abilities among recent graduates are inadequate. On the other hand, the industry failed. Whatever we have done, we are still producing inadequate graduates in terms of communication and decision-making skill. And this is in the US. This is not in Malaysia. This is not in Indonesia. But of course, it reflects almost similarly, right? While possessing a high degree of fluency with digital workflow, the graduate missed the human necessity of effective personal interaction. So I think I remember Ashwit, I was talking about the computer simulation, the probably BIM, and I think the current graduates are good at that, but they are missing on the effective personal interaction. Conversational and written communication to defend and support detailed design decision is critical to the future of the profession, yet so many don't possess this basic skill. So whatever we have discussed today or this morning, we are still lagging behind expected by the industry. Now, are we worried? I'm not sure. So I'm just posing the question. And the survey student responses indicate a desire for their work to be purposeful, responsible, founded in defensible research with a measurable impact. That sense of purpose continues to be a major drive in the generation entering the workforce. Working for a wage is no longer enough motivation. A range of work is also critical, engaging various market types and solutions and using a broader range of their skills. Wow, is that expected of a school to do? You know, so how do we deal with that? At the same time, this is not new. In Malaysia, this is one of the questions, and it is still have not been addressed today. Yeah, where our graduate, when they sit for so-called the certified architect part 3 exams, most of them fail. So it become a big stumbling block, right? In fact, there is a group who wanted to say memorandum, they call it Memorandum Tun Mahathir, at that time was the Prime Minister. And this is quite recent, 3rd October this year, when we have this architect Nazlan become our external examiners to the school. And he said, I must say that the UTM School of Architecture program is quite impressive. This was my second stint as one of their 2 EEs, external examiners, and both my co-EEs from Australia back in 2012 and now from Scotland this time around were equally impressed. I will therefore remain mystified why a good 90% of them will fail to make it past Part 3 exams. And this is true. So we have producing which have all this quality check. When they go into industry, they sit for the Part 3, they fail. Who to be blamed? The education, the academia, or the industry? The blame game continue. Yeah. And here, I don't know whether you can read or not. It is an interesting feedback from student comment that he gathered during his meeting with the student as external examiner. Yeah. He said, I had also conducted a quick survey as I did at my last stint as EE some 10 years back. So he come back 10 years after to become again our external examiner. And he asked 60 students. Okay. Where they saw themselves in 5 to 10 years down their career path. So he asked the student, what do they see themselves in 5 to 10 years? The response was strikingly similar, with close to 70% wanting to practice architecture. 7% look to be involved in academia to become lecturers. 15% preferred to work for government or public sector, and the remaining 8% see themselves working as salaried architect with developers or GLC. Okay, so simply put, about 42 of our students are expecting to sit for their Part 3 exam, enrolled to becoming professional architect. As I had shared in our exit meeting, this remains a big concern as we know that the dismal Part 3 pass rate is only about 10%. Yeah. So basically, the question of producing quality graduate, very subjective, but at the same time, the exam to certify them to be an architect who can practice is also very objective, and normally only 10% passed. Okay, and his posting, these are 2 of our previous graduate who respond to his posting. From Ramesh. Ramesh has his own business. He is not a certified architect, but he's doing very well as a design firm. That's probably because the UTM grad are so good that they are already successfully without needing their Part 3. This is what he thinks. So, you know, whether it is true or not, but he's doing very well as a design firm. Yeah, but not certified architect having a Part 3. Yeah. So I graduated from UTM 20 plus years ago. I'm doing quite well, have my own office, and I have not taken my Part 3. It's not that I don't want to, I do. I'm just too damn busy with my career and family. My preference for staff, I will hire UTM grads anytime. So, and then Logesh is another recent graduate, slightly recent than Ramesh. Of course, the graduate say, I dreamt of getting my part 3. Yeah. Eventually stayed away on getting experience out of Malaysia for so-called out-of-box ventures. So he wants to try and explore other things, yeah, or other places, yeah. I ever called back to LAM in 2009 to convert my experience overseas as part of my logbook, which was already prepared, but sadly it was rejected by LAM. So this exclusivity, only for elite, only for certain people, only for certain location, probably killed the profession. I mean, I'm just making the assumption. Yeah, it is for us to think. So my colleague, the late architect Hong Lim Fu, who was also my former master student, who actually conducted master's research. When we actually see this problem some years back, we actually embarked on this research, and he went into his master's and actually pick up these problems of graduates going into the professions. And we started with, we need to start now. We have to start looking at what is the change required in order to increase the passing rate for Part 3, as well as the involvement of graduates within a core business of architecture. Right? And these are some of the literature review. Dr. Tutin, how many minutes do I have? Tutin?
Yeah, 8 minutes, Professor.
8 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, I should have enough time. Okay. So these are some of the rethinking of architecture education 2003. Yeah, I mean, this is some years back, and all this spark a lot of reflection and rethinking, right? And my colleague, Associate Professor Architect Norwina, is actually listed, this 25 concern and views about education and industry, right? And the late architect Hong basically came up with these diagrams, which is I pick up from his master's thesis, to look at the relationships, and to see where is actually the misconnection between education and practice, right? And then he actually layered this over 6 items, the qualification, being an alumni, the Malaysian politics, the condition economic and region, the idea of the professional change, and then the professional body itself, and the ethic and public perceptions about architects and the industry itself. So this is very interesting, but I may not be able to actually go through the conclusion that he made. But this is a kind of it is outdated because he did this in some years ago. 2008, I think he submitted for his master's. So I will not go through this, maybe because it is outdated, but it is interesting that our profession, our jobs as an academician, our practice in the profession is actually, having this, broad relationship with many items. And this is quite recent, 18 October 2021. Again, like I said, Dr. Azumi is now the current president for PAM, Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia, or Malaysian Association of Architects, similar to your AIA, IAI, sorry. Okay, he actually presented this with our student during the open day as industry advisor to the program called Challenges and Prospect of Architecture Graduates in the Malaysian and Global Context, right? And interesting here, the graduates architect survey that he did, or even probably PAM did, is that learning experience, architecture study experience, very exciting, love studying architecture, 69.1% say so, right? Local as well as overseas graduate. Which is good, means that whatever we have discussed today, whatever presented by Priyatmaji, Aswin, and Beta, everyone seems to enjoy studying architecture. So it was okay, 25%. Frustrating, regret choosing architecture is about 5%. So not much, not big, but at the end of the day, there are people who regret coming into our program. Yeah. They have graduated, so maybe they go and venture into other things. Architecture study experiences, very exciting. Love studying architecture, 60%. And then I don't know why there is 2 here. Okay, maybe duplicating. Sorry, this is from unrecognized program. If you look at it, it's quite similar, except because it is unrecognized program, the frustrating regret choosing architecture percentage is higher. So what is recognized programs mean that it is actually recognized accredited program. Unrecognized mean it is not accredited program. Yeah. Okay. This is another interesting finding. Yeah, from the same survey. Job satisfaction, part 1 graduate. Yeah, if you look at here, 63.9% not happy with their job. Okay, so the question is, are you happy with your job? Our part 1 graduate, the S1, S1 or undergraduate, says 64% say not happy with their jobs. For part 2 or masters, it's almost similar. Yeah, 60% not happy with their job. Okay, so they are happy with their study, they are not happy with the job. Right? So we go on a bit more detail. This is from Pam and Dr. Izumi. A total of 79.8% of the graduates are employed by various types of establishment, mainly architect firm, interior design firm, and construction companies or contractors. A worrying figure of 16.6% of the graduates are unemployed, and a small percentage of 3.6% are self-employed. Yeah. So he said worrying, but do we have to? So these are the kind of question. Even you look at here, there are people who go into F&B business, and there are 3.6% self-employed, unemployed 60.6%. Don't know what they do, but they consider themselves as not working. Yeah, unemployed. Okay, and then a survey here. Do you have difficulty in getting job? Yeah, so the question asked to part 1 and part 2 graduate. People say no, not at all. They are not having difficulty to get a job, 10%. Yes, I could not get the right job for me, 30%. Yes, I could not get the salary I want, 13% or 14%. Yes, I could not get job at all, 40%. Yeah, 36%, sorry, 36%. And other than above 10%. So 80% have difficulty in getting job in architecture industry. This is in Malaysian context. Right? Another survey that they have conducted is preferred areas of knowledge and skill to learn after graduation. Remember, this is after graduation. So this is topping up that probably they like to go into. Yeah, corporate administration, business, investment, media publication, housing development, construction law, contract administration, project management. A lot of them say they don't have enough this during their study, so they would like to go into contract project management. Yeah. Bidding information modeling, maybe because it's new. Computer graphic illustration, I find it strange. Architecture design, again, of course, it's strange because architecture design is actually core of our program. But this is what the graduate says. When they graduated from our school means, Malaysian schools or overseas schools, they would like to have further knowledge and engagement in this program. right? This is another survey quite recently, 2021, done by Richard Wade, called Lost, Lonely, and Stress. This is because of the COVID. In one of the things that he mentioned in this is that time for a rethink. Okay, how architecture is taught may have temporarily changed, but its content and structure remains an issue for many of those polled, those who are surveyed. Only 41% of students who said they intended to go into practice thought their courses had provided them with the knowledge they would need. 40%. Apart from what we have done with the curriculum, checking the quality, the graduates say only 40% good enough for them. 60% is a waste of time. Indeed, many students call for a rethink of the route to qualification, with 45% of respondents to the survey saying they would have taken an apprenticeship route if it had been available. So a question is that if you want to work in architecture firm, in architecture industry, they need to have the experience working in the industry. Other question whether qualifying was even needed anymore. Marcus Hurst, a Part 2 student at London School of Art, Architecture and Design, said Part 3 may be useful to understand the law, but I simply don't need it for the work I do. It seems like an antiquated system crying out for an overhaul. So again, this is one remark against the certification or Part 3 exam. The amount of talent being lost is saddening and frustrating, said one London-based Part 2 student. Only 2 of the 6 people in my friend group who studied architecture at undergraduate level have decided to pursue a career in the profession, means that they go into architecture industry. I'm having serious doubt about becoming an architect. There are many reasons that it might not be worth it. So this is hard question for us in the academia to actually choose, but maybe we have done enough. Now, how do we actually deal with this finding, right? This is from PAM's Dato' Azumi. This is the many hats that architect has to wear. So we as the school are now asked to tailor to all these many hats. Is it possible? Do we say it may take 20 years, then only they graduate to have all these many hats? That's another question to ask. Another scenario is that only A and B student graduated, definitely. C and student have to repeat, right? So in master's program, they have to pass with a B- average. When they are C and D, they have to repeat. But in the industry, sometimes the A student work for the Bs, the Cs run the companies, and the D student dedicate the building. The D student are richer than the C, the B, and the A. So that could happen. Probably has happened. Okay. To close my my presentation today, I wanted to just having said all this, how we at the academia trying to do good program, making sure the quality is being addressed, having all the expensive ingredient into our programs, producing graduate whose people say may not fit the market. I'm just going to show you the student, a case student who graduated, who practiced overseas, and now become a baker, right? So her name is Umi Daud, married to this guy called Braithwaite. She was my former thesis student. In fact, she acknowledged me here as part of her life, success story. She's when talk about grade, she's not the A student. She's probably a B student, as far as I remember. And she did this thesis And she has proud to be RIBA chartered member. She sent me a copy of this certificate, say, I'm very thankful, all my hard work paid, but she doesn't have a patri. She have a RIBA chartered member. She practiced in Dubai and Doha. And she's one of the lead architects who designed the recently launched stadiums to Mama in Doha. Or whoever actually watched the final football games, which actually happened in this Tuamama stadiums, I think last week. And the stadium is actually led by her, and she is one of the leading architects actually delivering this very, very important project for Doha. Right? So this is her thesis. I remember spheroids thesis in a mangrove area, trying not to touch the mangrove, but at the same time having humanly living condition. A lot of debate during her presentation. Some lecturers say thinks that it is not architecture. It is but then she passed through the thesis, and she worked in Doha in Qatar. And if you look at all this, this is what made her now. I'm not sure what happened to her. She came back and now residing in KL. She is now making her own business and actually very interesting TMD food labs. So from architecture trained into a designerly baker, in that sense, or someone who produce in F&B business. Okay, if you look at how she, I follow her Facebook almost like quite often, because I wanted to really see how we teach architecture, and architecture can bring our graduate beyond architecture, which I think that pleased me. So it is not just about becoming an architect, which she did, but she left and she fly and do other things beyond architecture, right? So she sketched her cakes or chocolates and produced this. And even when my colleague Halim here, who just retired, was former our head department, booked one of the anniversary cake with her. She celebrate and host Dr. Halim's and the wife, and she even actually again do sketching before come up with the food to host Dr. Halim at her house. And this is what she did to her lunch. So every day, probably she came up with all this beautiful lunch for herself as well. So I was like amazed with how the training of architecture make her practice architecture and then go beyond. So in conclusion, I hope I will not take a lot of time. Architecture is so subjective, and it opened the world for us to play our role, right? So I'm retiring very, very soon. So I hope a lot of academicians in these rooms or in the platform today, will have to think of designing this profile of the future architect. It is something interesting to do. I hope it is not like men 13 in 1 that we wanted to produce, because that will be very hard. To please everyone is probably the most difficult thing for us as architecture school to do. So do what we have planned, that agreed by the student, means that when the student come and join our school, they definitely has agreed with our menus, our curriculums, and deal with that and let the future be for them. And this is my last slide. It's not just happening to architecture, it's also for the engineer. Yeah, Jurutera miskin. So with that, thank you very much. I hope I have made sense. Maybe a bit provocative, but this is for us to start rethinking and probably, let the student enjoy studying architecture and at the same time explore their future. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
give
very
back
much.
to Tin. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hamdan, for such provoking, insightful knowledge and experience sharing. You brought to mind how the architectural education should negotiate with the local, the global, and also the job markets. And you also give us insights that future architects have to have attributes, knowledge, and skills. They have broad responsibility. And it is interesting to learn about the application of the role play in the undergraduate program to prepare the students to be comprehensive designers. You also highlighted that undergraduate students are expected to master drawing, design, and communications, while students at the master's degree should have competence in analysis, research, and innovations. But maybe the one thing that we have to prepare is that the students should be aware of what is the demand in the industry. One thing that strikes me most was the fact that more and more graduates were less interested in professional certification. Well, is this also the case in Indonesia? I think this is an intriguing question, but it is good to know that according to the survey, more than 60% graduate architects are satisfied with their job and find the architectural profession is an exciting experience. Thank you again, Professor Hamdan. I hope you are well and healthy for always. Okay, now that our four speakers have presented their materials, we arrive to the Q&A session. And to begin, I would like to invite Professor Himasari Hanan from Institut Teknologi Bandung, who is among the participants, to give her thoughts of what our speakers have presented today. Bu Hima? Are you still here, Bu Hima? Okay. Okay, so because Bu Hima is not here.
I'm
Bu
sorry,
Hima.
I have muted the microphone. Yeah, I'm sorry since I have to double the webinar, so I have to divide my concentration. So I'm very surprised that I have to raise questions. Yeah, maybe it's more comments that all of the presentation are very interesting and they presented different approaches and different opinions on the future of architectural education. So in my opinion, the range or the spectrum for the education for architects are very broad. So we don't have any insufficiency or any lack of materials to teach students of architecture. So there are a lot of possibilities, I think. So the question is, how do we decide in which area or in which spectrum do we choose for stimulating the students to learn architecture? So there are more possibilities than the method that we use for teaching architecture. So we have to choose at last. And it comes to the school itself or to the lecturer itself, which topic or which process do we choose for communicating with the students. So actually the range or the choices are very open. So it comes to us which one we choose or which one we select to operate the education for the students. So it becomes very challenging for us actually in the future that the possibility is very open. We could make from the starting point that we work together with the society, with the community, with the people, with the builder itself, until we work together with the machine or we collaborate with the machine. So the range is very broad. And that will be our challenge. And that then becomes interesting for us and exciting for us because we have many choices, we have many menus. So it comes to us, how do we organize ourselves to make a selection and to make approaches for the education? So maybe the challenge for us is that we have to discuss more, that we have to to exchange ideas, that we have to exchange experiences so that we are more clear which process is the more effective for the student. Maybe that's will be my comments or my remarks. Thank you. So it was a surprise for me.
Thank you, Bu Hima, for your... Yeah, okay. Thank you, Bu Hima. And thank you for joining with us today. Would you like to comment, Professor Hamdan and Dr. Priyatmaji?
Okay, I think I agree with Bu Hima. Basically, my last slide says that, every school will have to decide, if you wanted to follow the so-called the wish list, there are too many, and I don't think we can do that within the prescribed times, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. So each school will have to decide what they want to do for architecture programs. And they have to know that there will be people who like to do it with them. And this is where the contract is binded when they come and join the school. Now, what happened to the industry? The industry may not like the graduate, but the graduate could be able to make themselves the new future. And I think this is the most important thing. Why 60% of the students may not getting the right job? Because they are too prescriptive, that they may not be doing the job for where they are being given the job, right? So this is the question, is that I wish the graduate will actually lead the future, not the industry. So I think this is where individual school will have to play their role to see what is the future, and the student will agree with you and join your schools. And that will make our job much, fun and easier in that sense. Otherwise, we become lecturer plus just to please a lot of people and nothing happen at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, that is so true. I couldn't agree more. Okay, Pak Aji, perhaps.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Tutin. Also, Bu Hima, thank you so much for your insightful for our discussion today. And maybe no doubt, and yeah, it's very agree with you. And also from Prof. Hamdan in the last slide presentation about the architecture is subjective. I think this is quite look like master chef, yeah. So many ingredients, many raw material, and depend on the processing itself, how to cooking and how to packaging, and also how to serve. Because architecture itself made by architect, one product, one client. This is so very specific, I think. Yeah, thank you.
I like that, one product, one client. And then you move to another client, is different products.
Okay, so thank you very much, Pak Aji, Prof. Hamdan, and also Bu Himasari. I would like to read a question from the chat box. I have rephrased here just to summarize. So this is from Ibu Laina from Universitas Syah Kuala. There is a trend of interest among students to shift their final projects from the previously designed project to a research project. Yeah, I think this question is for Pak Aji. Yeah, but as a consequence, the students will have to miss their Studio 6. Is it still acceptable according to the guidance formulated by Aptari? And is there any guidelines for such a program where we include architectural research in the curriculum? Pak Aji?
Yeah, thank you Bu Tutin, also Bu Laina from Syah Kuala University. Yeah, just for your information, and also I would like to mention for Pak Gunte Gunawan Tanuwijaya. Yeah, this is so wide question, I think. And in Aptari itself, Aptari is look like association or society for Indonesian architectural school. Yeah, so about the lecture and etc. I think this is domain for the Ministry of Education and also Culture. Yeah, for take 2 years that we bring to 2 years itself for apprenticeship. Yeah, in Dewan Arsitek Indonesia. Why 2 years? This is about the appropriateness or appropriacy, kepantasan dan kepatutan. So maybe due to the diverse of Indonesian conditions, maybe government need to make sure about the appropriateness. That's from 2 years. Yeah, all of each of the lecture can be performed Tridharma perguruan tinggi, I think. So sorry Bu Tutin, I just would like to respond from Pak Gunawan Tanuwijaya first. And from Bu Laina, this is also there are 2 types of the final work of student in architecture. So by writing something in research and also design, I think Universitas Parahyangan do both. Yeah, writing in skripsi, also design in studio akhir arsitektur, I think. Yeah, and also in some several study program in Indonesia. The question is, this is have meet for the Aptari standard or not? Aptari, once again, not a government institution. Yeah, it's tend to like society. So we have some kind of the platform, and we are a partner for the government related the architectural education. So if you want to make sure about your graduate student to be architect, it means design it's must. But if your graduate student look like learning outcome, so not only to be professional architect, so maybe the design is its option. Yeah, so this is depend on your university, how to make some insight, how to make some opinion about the learning outcome in your own university. Yeah, I think it's all. Yeah, for example, about the student conduct their research majorly in green open space. This is also if in learning outcome that you put it's strictly about the building itself, building design. So it means green open space, maybe include in what we call sorry, I just like planner, yeah, or urbanism, yeah. So if we take a look and also to make strictly how to put maybe in student performance criteria about the building designs, yeah, we just recommended that you so to be focused on the building design itself. Yeah. I think it's all to Tutin.
Okay, Thank you, Pak Haji. Yeah, because of the time limitations, I have to select the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, there is one more question. This is from Pak Randy Perdana Hikmat. I think this question is not only applicable for Pak Haji, but also for Professor Hamdan. If the future of architecture is so demanding and need a huge investment in its infrastructure and human development besides curriculum, what are the strategies to overcome the inequality concerning student input infrastructure, including software, devices, equipments, and so on? And then also affordances in regional issues, prospects, facilitating collaboration, etc. among Indonesian architecture schools. Prof. Hamdan?
Okay. Thank you. It's always a very difficult question. Yeah. I remember facilitating a workshop or brainstorming session for new school, for example, who wanted to open up school of architecture, right? So we have the manual from the Board of Architects, then we have the manual from the ministry. Those to me are all guidelines. Okay, how do we fulfill their requirement? But how do we deliver our job is based on what do we have at our location, right? So when you talk about investment in so many laboratories, do you really have to have those laboratories? Can you not collaborate with partners? Can you not find maybe tukang in your village to actually be a guru of, say, construction subject? So all these are what I call just now, what do you want to do? And how can you actually offer a programs that you can deliver? So do not dreams when you cannot have. And actually promise someone that this is what you're going to offer them. That is a lie. That shouldn't happen. Those are unethical. So see what you can and how you offer what you can within the framework that is actually given by the board as well as by the ministry. And I'm sure the school will become the best school because this is what they are committed to do. And architecture is so subjective. Even like Pak Julianto said, if you wanted to only have a school who design bungalows, be it. And you only teach about how to design good bungalows for individual clients. And there are graduates who practice this, just doing bungalows. And you have a different market. So be brave to be different, but not just be generalist. That's my answer. That is not that costly. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hamdan. Pak Haji?
Yeah, thank you, Bu Tutin. I think it's not easy to answer directly from Mas Randy, from Institute Teknologi Sumatera. My question is, why you need the youth investment first? So that's in my quadrant work for the first quadrant. So we willing to improve, we willing to support the uniqueness. It's study program in Indonesia. Why? Because we have 140 study program in architectural school. Yeah. So maybe from Sumatra, from Sulawesi, also from East Nusa Tenggara, it's very difference, and we cannot compare each other in some way. Yeah. So this is his hard effort to Badan Akreditasi Nasional to make some kind of the platform in here in Indonesia. Yeah, because not look like maybe not so wide like Indonesia. Yeah. So we have a diverse resource, diverse human development, and also etc. And the second one, please make improvement about the uniqueness itself. So that's way in Aptari, we strongly recommended about the living laboratory. Maybe architecture in ITERA has own uniqueness, has own specialists about the some kind of the architectural views that others higher education have no about the resources. So living laboratory, I think, is much more important to do with some kind of equality among of the architectural study program in Indonesia, and also we can bring the uniqueness to the global world. I think my answer, Bututin. Yeah, thank you, Pak Randy.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Aji and also Prof. Hamdan. Bapak Ibu, I know that there are still lots of questions to discuss, but we have to end this fruitful session, unfortunately, due to time constraint. There are so many to highlight, but please allow me to note and underline the most important points from our speakers today. The first one is the need for adaptive and unique curriculum, the need for critical collaborative skill for future architects, the need for research and design, the need to prepare students to deal with the demand in the industry through education, and also the need to discuss more, exchange ideas, but to be selective in forming our architectural education. To wrap up this lecture, I once again would like to thank Dr. Julianto Priyatmaji, Dr. Aswin Indrapasta, Dr. Beta Paramita, and also Professor Dr. Muhammad Hamdan Ahmad. Thank you for sharing your precious knowledge, experience, and thoughts with us. I also would like to thank you all for attending our discussions today and share your opinions. Thank you very much. Please stay well and have a great one. I will hand over this to Bu Ana now. Bu Ana?
Okay, thank you so much, Bututin, and congratulations for leading the discussion successfully. And thank you for the speakers, Professor Hamdan, Dr. Julianto, Dr. Aswin, and Dr. Beta, for the insightful presentations. Congratulations for the participants who have attentively listened and contributed in the discussion from the morning up until now. Now, before we part ways, I have a few announcements to make. So first is about the International Webinar on Digital Architecture, or IWEDA 2021. Good news, you still have the opportunity to submit your manuscript to the event as the submission is still open. So I'm just going to post the website on the chat box so you can check it out later. There is also an opportunity for you to get a grant for your publication, and it is funded by BPS Research. If you are interested in applying for the grant, please contact Dr. Beta Paramita for more detailed info. Actually, Dr. Beta already posted her contact information before, yeah, in the chat box. But in case you miss it, I will leave her email address in the chat box as well. Give me a second. Okay. Also, don't forget to fill in the attendance form that has been given to you before in the chat box. And the certificate for this event will be issued in a week and will be sent to you by email. Now we have reached the end of our event. Thank you everyone for joining and for your wonderful contribution to make this webinar take place. I hope our discussion today will bring a better and brighter future for architecture education in Indonesia for years to come. I personally apologize for any mistakes and inconveniences you may encounter along the way. I wish you a nice and relaxing weekend. Until next time, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.